Good morning, Alex.
Hey Brenda, how are you?
Mm, I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
Good. Thanks for
Good,
asking.
good.
How was I know you had something to do last yesterday afternoon. Did that go well?
Yeah, went good.
That's good.
Yep, yep, went great. So, what you having today for your lunch?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm in the office today, so I wasn't even thinking of that. I just had me a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
breakfast bars. But
Oh,
I usually just I had my coffee this morning, so there you go. That's what I
yeah.
that's what I have for lunch.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having mine too. I made some blueberry muffins, and I'm eating a couple of hard-boiled eggs and some turkey sausage and a cup of coffee. So, yeah, this is my brunch.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're gonna have a good session this afternoon. I think, well, this person that's coming on is new, but we had a person to come on to tell us about scams as well.
Yeah, that was the Attorney General's office. This is from I don't even know, it's Tzedek DC. They're part of UDC, so
Okay.
they're definitely giving a different perspective. So
Okay.
um, so yeah, I was intrigued when I learned about it as well.
Mm,
I really,
okay.
it's great, but I really look forward to Thursday. We're gonna Washington home. We haven't had them since March, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're talking about house plants. So I know that's up a lot of folks' alley,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and it was good. I remember I was at a library that day, but they came on
mm-hmm.
and they talked about gardening and different little tips here and there. So
Okay.
it was nice.
Yeah. I wish I had a green thumb. My plants do not, they I don't know what it is. I like plants.
Oh
I
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I try to my friend, she potted some mint and basil for me, but
mm-hmm.
it's no longer in existence.
Oh, okay.
I think one of them is still hanging on, but
Yeah.
no, I got me for my desk at home. I got me a orchid, like a fake plant, but
Right, right.
it's
Okay.
I like that, and I'd be on YouTube all the time, so I'd be watching different videos. Most celebrities they don't, yeah, they have fake plants, and it looks so real. So I'm like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
less work for me and more pretty for my house. So
Wait a minute, Alex. Hello. Hey, Alex, Diane was telling me about well, she mentioned yesterday that this lady, Simona Clayton, she helped Dr. Martin Luther King. So I told her,
hmm
tell me the name of it, and maybe I could send Teresa an email. Maybe we can see that on our next movie night. She said it's over a 2-hour documentary on how she helped Dr. Martin Luther King. So I said that would be good if if Teresa would let us look
Okay.
at it. She can find it.
Just email it to me. I got you.
Okay. I gotta find out the name of it. I don't know the name of it. So I'm gonna go. She said it's on YouTube. So I'm gonna go on YouTube and see what the name of it is, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, you can also you can also ask her the name or just send it to me and I got you. So I'll you know.
Okay.
Hi, Brenda. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Miss Carolyn. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Wonderful.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that, Alex. Yeah. Diane said it was real good.
Oh, if Diane said it, then it must be true.
Yeah, she's a history buff, so.
Oh yeah, no, we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hi, Miss Caroline. Do you mind silencing your TV for us, please?
Come down right now. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's just so amazing that these devices. I mean, they're sensitive, but it's for a good reason. So that way you don't have to yell into the device in order to hear you. But unfortunately, you know, it still picks up stuff. So, you know, it's okay.
I see you eating your lunch too, Brenda.
I'm having brunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm having brunch.
Okay. I'm eating some tomato soup.
Okay, that sounds good.
Oh, I haven't had that in so long.
Grilled cheese would be real good with that.
I know, along with it, won't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, someone else had grilled cheese like last week, and I was like,
I did.
Oh yeah, I was like, man,
I love a grilled cheese. I love a grilled cheese. Alex, let me ask you something now. The person on here named Carmen Willoughby, isn't that a man?
No, that's a woman.
Is it?
Yeah, I've met her many times at the library.
Okay, I thought it was a man because the only reason.
No, Miss Common is a woman.
Okay. Well, the reason I said that is my great grandson, his name is Carmen.
Yeah, I've heard guys named Carmen, girls named Carmen, so it's a pretty neutral name.
Is it?
Hey, Diane.
Yeah.
I was offended when he named that baby Carmen because.
Oh no! I mean, you could make any. It's a name is the name. It's what you make of it, right?
Yeah, that's true. But Carmen is a female. That's a lady. Okay.
Yeah, Miss Coleman. Yeah, Miss Coleman. She's really sweet. She tries. So I appreciate that.
Oh, okay. All right, my bad. It was me. I thought it was.
It's okay. No. I was in the same boat because I didn't, with like Janelle. Like I thought Bridget was Janelle. I didn't realize Janelle was in the picture. So it's okay. When you learn, you learn. So
okay.
There's so many folks, and for me, my job is attendance and names and such. So I like if I see a name like 99% of the time, I'm gonna know like who they are, like where they're at, or what they need assistance with or something. So it's when I get new folks, I try to do my best because with me, like for like people like in real life, like I gotta it takes like 2 or 3 times for me to really actually like remember someone's name. I remember faces like one and done. Like I remember faces.
Okay.
But like for names, it just depends on the person. But the great thing with Zoom is I don't have to ask what your name is. I can see, hey, your name is Brenda McManus. So that it just helps with it. But I know most of you guys' names. I could just look at the list and be like, hey, I know this person, and that person.
Okay.
which is good.
You don't know my name.
Hey,
you don't know my name.
Stop playing.
My name is Eugene. My name is Eugene. That's actually my name. My name
Are you
is
serious?
Diane Eugene.
No, for real.
Yeah,
that's
my
cool.
name is Diane Eugene Sizemore.
Oh, that's cool.
I was named after my godfather.
Oh, and your middle name is Eugene?
Yes.
Eugene.
That's so good. I love that name. I don't know. People think it's like let me just say, people think that's an old name. I'm like, that's a cool name. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Good morning. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Good
Hey,
morning,
Denise.
everyone. Good morning. It's so good to see so many smiling faces. This is wonderful.
Oh, it's good to see your smiling face, Diane.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is good to see everybody.
And you know, the more that we see, and the more that you say or speak up, that helps us with like what we provide for you all. So that's why when Lynette mentioned like chess, I was like, okay, cool. What can I do with this? And then that just kind of got the ride started. So
Mhm.
if I know what you guys like, or if I hear from more of you, then we can take you all into account when we create these sessions. So
Yeah. And
Okay.
that's what we should do something on, Alex, is unique names. See, I never heard this name before. Have you ever heard of Italco?
oh
Have
Italco?
you
goodness,
ever
no.
heard? Yeah, Italco. That was my son's aunt's name, Italco. And I
Really?
never heard of that name before in my life.
No, I never heard that either, Diane. Mm. Mm.
And,
Okay.
and her nickname, y'all ain't gonna believe her nickname.
What is the nickname?
Teddy.
What?
Teddy.
What?
Teddy.
Teddy.
Where did
The
they
kids
get that
call her
from?
Aunt Teddy. Right.
I like that. That's cool.
Right. I mean,
Okay.
it's so many different names that sound so good, and you never heard of it. That was in another name. It took me a long time. I heard it again. I own her.
Oh, I heard that name before. I own her.
Right,
Mhm.
Me too.
it took
I've
me a long.
I've heard of that before. It's really cute.
But it took me a long time to pronounce Iona. I don't know what. It just twisted my tongue every time I tried to call a lady her name. But names are beautiful.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I think everybody has like one or two names that you just, or one or two words that you just can't say. Like for me, like the word jewelry. Like I have to say it
Oh,
like
okay.
that. Like even though I wear it all the time,
Mhm.
it's still so hard for me to say that. So I just sometimes be like, let me get my jewels on.
I know my girlfriend niece was named Coke Lavoisier.
Huh?
Cope Lavoisier.
Yeah, drink. Mm-hmm.
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
goodness.
Yep, her name Coke
Well,
Lavoisier Sweeney.
oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
that
That
is
ain't the
awesome.
first time I've heard that before, Denise. So that's more common than you think.
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool.
I
Right.
like your background though.
Oh, thank you. You
Right.
want a piece?
I wish I could.
I want some
Yes,
watermelon.
please. Goodness,
Y'all
give
can
me
have a
some.
slice. Oh,
I can have a
goodness.
slice.
It's a
There's
plenty.
there's three. Who gets the three, Denise?
Oh, wow. Let me see. Y'all can
Diane.
cut, look, y'all can cut it. Look, y'all can cut it again. Cut it again.
Oh yeah, cut
Mhm.
it each one of them in half, so everyone gets
Yeah,
six.
I tell you. Uh-huh.
Oh
And
oh goodness,
and this
y'all are
the
making me
weather
laugh
for it too.
today.
Keep you nice and cool.
Mhm.
If
Yes.
you was outside, them things it would be hot. No.
Right, right.
I know.
I, I got one more thing to say, then I'm through. This name, I was gonna name my son, but everybody say, thank God I didn't. Arvadis herbaceous.
Oh God.
Oh.
Who?
Oh
Arvadis herbaceous.
well,
That was
that would have been something, right?
Mm.
they.
Yeah.
Be
But
mad at you.
his name is his name. So I named him Marcellus. His name became
Mhm.
Marcellus.
Oh.
But first of all, guess what? I couldn't even spell.
Oh,
I couldn't even spell. So
Wow.
that was out.
That's why I
was
was
out,
saying
y'all.
too, y'all. I was saying my dad wanted me to be a boy, so I
I
wasn't.
remember you
He was
saying
gonna
that.
name me Dennis. I was a girl, so he said, "Oh Lord, you gotta be named Denise." Yeah, yeah. People got these names. They got names like
Yeah.
India. I think India is pretty. India.
And
Oh, me
India,
too. I love
that's,
that name.
It
that's
is.
a pretty name. That's my
I,
granddaughter name,
I,
India.
I
Oh, it
like,
is? Oh,
yes, I like any name that's based on a month. Those are pretty
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
okay. I got a girlfriend named April. Mhm. And my
That's
sister-in-law named May.
oh yeah. I mean, anything under the sun. There's like 8-9 billion people in this world, so I don't put anything past nobody, right?
I
Right.
know, right? I
But
know.
it's fun to express yourself in different ways. A name is a name is a name. So
Yeah.
you
Right,
know.
right.
But yes, I'd like to welcome you all to the lunch club. We have a little fewer folks today, but it's always a pleasure to see you all on, and we appreciate your participation. We want you guys to have different types of sessions that we have, like social and informational, and all these different ones that meld into each other. So I'm glad that you guys take advantage of these different sessions. So as you can see, based on my slide and my background today, based on a suggestion from one of you all. I don't remember who, but thanks for suggesting it. We'll be talking about herbs and spices.
Okay.
So yes, let's learn about this. I wasn't aware of a lot of this information, so let's see what we'll learn today. So before we get started, I'm going to read our disclaimer. Tzedek DC Senior iPad program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the information in any applications or topics made by Tzedek, including but not limited to mobile and device applications and any social media pages maintained by the Tzedek DC Senior iPad program, its owners and presenters, as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. Before we get started, I know I've heard from some of you already, but what are you eating for lunch today?
Right? You know what, Alice? I'm gonna fix me a grilled cheese sandwich, please.
Oh, is that because of
Dad,
what Brenda
that
had?
sounded good.
Go with
I'm
that
getting ready.
tomato soup.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to fix me a pancake.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
What kind of pancake? What kind of flour do you use?
Um, look, it's just in the bag. Add water.
Oh, okay. Ain't nothing wrong with the premix, because sometimes it is based on like how you feeling and such. So it's all, I think, with any mix boxes or like pre-made stuff, just add a little bit more just to make it your own and to add some type of freshness, like fruits or like we were talking about herbs and spices and
Yeah, I
stuff.
do
So
like to do that, but I don't have.
I had put an
no,
egg in my pancake mix.
you said what now?
I had put egg in my pancake mix.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I think they say that on the box too. You can use an egg and substitute it for like some liquid, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yes. Anybody else would like to share what they're eating for lunch today?
Well, I'm eating mine.
What are you
I'm
eating,
having-
Brenda?
I'm having a blueberry muffin, boiled egg, turkey sausage, and a cup of coffee.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Good.
It's brunch.
Yeah.
Oh yes. How do you like your coffee, Brenda?
Little cream and sugar. I use the hazelnut creamer, a little bit of sugar,
Right.
and that's it. I don't like
Okay.
it real sweet because the hazelnut is already kind of sweet. So
Mhm.
I use it like maybe a half a teaspoon of sugar and the rest with my hazelnut. And that's pretty much it.
Oh, me too. I used to love hazelnut, the creamer.
Yes.
Now I just use we'll be talking about on Thursday actually about beverages and such. But like for me, for my coffee, like I try to make it more coffee, really anything else. Like one sugar packet. Like I've been doing two, but I've really been trying to do just one, and
Okay.
then like a dash of like whole milk or something. Because yeah, I crave that richness, and like coffee. It can be not bitter. I mean, I love me some Folgers, but I just need that little ounce of it because I grew
Yeah.
up on tea and coffee. Like I used to drink it
Yeah.
every day, like literally.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to reduce that that milk a little
That's
bit.
what
Just
I
but
do
you
too, Alex. I use one little pack, and that's then the rest is black. But I have put cinnamon in it,
hmm
and that makes to give it a flavor, good flavor.
Oh
Mhm.
yes,
That
yes.
cinnamon. Mm-hmm.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Diane, were you saying something?
I have a Capri for lunch. That's an Italian sub. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
So
Sound
I
good.
have I'm gonna say it wrong, but y'all know prosciutto
Pastrami.
ham.
yeah, prosciutto.
Oh,
Prosciutto, yeah.
potato.
Okay,
Oh, uh-huh.
ham, salami,
Mm.
cheese,
Oh.
sweet pickles, oregano,
Oh
lettuce,
yeah.
tomatoes, olives, and the Italian dressing, Italian you know,
The
like
seasoning.
vinegar.
Oh, the oil and vinegar.
No, that they put on the
hmm
bread
Where you
on the
get that
hard
at?
roll
Where you
at
get
the
that at?
Italian store. At the Italian store in Arlington, Virginia.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
okay.
Yes. Well, I love getting subs from those shops. They just a fresh
Yeah.
sub is nothing anything
Right.
like it. But just as a reminder, and just because I was on Dr. Mundy had some great tips on Thursday, right? So every once in a while having a cold cut sandwich ain't bad, but just to keep it in moderation, right?
Mhm.
Yes, Alex, that's right.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Hey Wanda.
I was downstairs and I said I got to get up here. This lady said she's gonna get a iPad to live in the building where I live at.
Oh yes, there will. We're just looking forward to more folks in our
She's
program.
gonna be
So,
on here. She said, not today.
oh
Alex,
yeah,
what?
when she gets her training. So
Oh
thanks.
yeah. So we're talking about herbs and spices today.
Oh yes, yes. What are you eating for lunch, Wanda?
I have some kind of chicken. The people were complaining about the food. They're talking about all the greens need to be cooked more, the spinach, whatever. I was like, if you cook like spinach and greens real tender, you're cooking all the nutrition out of it, the nutrients out of it. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand
Oh
that.
yeah.
I like it not all the way done. I cook my cabbage like that too. I cook
Oh
everything out
yeah.
of it. They ain't doing you no justice, Alex.
Right. And yeah, I can definitely see that, and I've definitely heard and done that before. I don't mind. I love me some raw vegetables or like a crudité or something.
If you
So
cook it real, cook everything out of it, it ain't doing you no good.
right. So
No
so
justice.
yeah. You
I
gotta
had to hurry. I was downstairs in the community room. I had to hurry back upstairs. I was like, oh, I got to get upstairs. I got to get on. I have a class. They said, you have a class? I said, oh, yes, honey. I got to get away from y'all.
Oh
How's everyone
goodness.
doing? How's
Good,
everyone?
and you?
Doing good. Doing
Oh,
good.
Good,
Brenda, how
good.
are you? I like your, look at you. Got that hair looking good, Brenda.
Oh, thank you, Wanda. Thank
Oh,
you.
Wanda, I love your energy. It's
Oh,
keeps
Alex, I
this
got
all
to have
going.
some energy. I go to the doctor tomorrow. I did exercise this morning. Oh, I've been trying to exercise, get these pounds off, Alex.
Oh, well, bless your
Okay.
heart. You gotta just take it one step at a time, and
That's all I can do, Alex. That's all I can do. I'm at the age I can't do but one step at a time.
Oh no, well, you definitely giving me 20s and 30s in your soul. So
Hey, oh, Alex, I
just
tried. When you gonna be at the
just
library again, Alex?
I know for certain next Thursday, but you'll be with me for this Thursday for our lunch club. So I'll be back there. So I look
Yeah,
forward to seeing you all.
and when you there, when we at the library, I'm gonna make sure I'm saying, and here's Alex. I'm with Alex, and she must not be on here
Oh,
today.
oh goodness, you made me. Oh God,
And
yesterday
can't
you
be
cracked
on here
me
because
up.
she'll be saying, that's my baby, Alex.
Don't, you're making me blush. Oh.
Y'all have a good afternoon. Well, all right, I'm gonna be on here, but I'm gonna be on.
Oh, no problem. We appreciate your enthusiasm
I
so much.
appreciate y'all too.
You too, Martha.
So yeah,
What we having for dinner tomorrow, Brenda?
You know
Yeah,
what?
what
I
you-
haven't figured it out yet.
Oh
Well, figure
God!
it out,
What, does
Brenda. I'm coming
everybody know
over.
that Brenda cooks on Wednesday?
Oh
Yes.
yes, honey, I know that.
It's family day on Wednesday.
Oh
That is so
God!
nice, Brenda.
Y'all
That
are
is good.
y'all are so fun. I love it.
That is nice, Brenda.
Huh?
Alex, I called Louise about 2 weeks ago. The other Louise.
Oh yes. Oh, that's
Just
good.
pray for it. Just pray for it. That's all
Oh,
I can
okay.
say.
I miss her. I miss her. So you know.
I know it's a lot going on, and you know
I understand. That's how some
we'll talk
folks
about it.
is.
We'll talk when I see you in person. All right, then, Alex. See you. I'll be seeing.
All right. Hope you enjoyed today. So yes, today we'll be talking about herbs and spices. So I know that for me, again, I just moved to my place. I made sure that my herb and spice rack was full of different stuff. Because I mean, hey, you can really wake a lot of ingredients up just by
Yes.
using herbs and spices. So herbs and spices, what's the difference? Because you know, we say it interchangeably, but there is actually a difference to them. As we know, herbs and spices are used to contribute to our food's flavor. We may even use these terms interchangeably. However, there is a key difference between them. One simple way to remember this is alliteration. An herb, which starts with an H, comes from higher parts of a plant, so the leaves and the stems. A spice comes from several parts of a plant, so the bark, nuts, roots, or the seeds. So there are instances that something can be an herb and a spice, like coriander is that, and cilantro. Don't quote me on that. It's going to be covered in the video, but there can be instances where something is an herb and a spice, but mostly herbs and spices, they're the two differences. Higher parts, the leaves and the stems for an herb, and the spice comes from the other parts of a plant, bark, nuts, roots, and seeds. So again, the top picture is a picture of an herb, again, the more leafy parts, and the bottom is the spices, so some that you may recognize. Yeah, that's one fact that I didn't know before looking this up. For herbs, generally, you'll want to use herbs that are fresh. When used as garnishes, chopped or whole herbs provide style, you know, visual flair, you know. It's always good to have a little bit of green on top of something, especially if it's heavy. So I know that we've been talking about shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie, super heavy dish. But if you put a little bit herbs, just a little sprinkle, you know, it just gives you that freshness when you're ingesting the food. So you know, it's important to use them. Some popular herbs include basil, mint, parsley, rosemary, sage, and thyme. So again, look at this image. So again, the herbs and the leaves and the stems of these plants. For spices, spices are dried or ground, though you can use them whole. And I just recommend, if you're able to get whole spices and grind them yourself in a mortar and pestle, so much better than store-bought. But for whole, you can also toast them before you grind them over medium heat until fragrant. So that's how you can basically wake the oils and different things that are inside of the actual spice. You can toast them for a bit just to wake up their flavor. Spices often offer a stronger flavor than herbs because it's a little more concentrated. Some popular spices include cinnamon, cumin, nutmeg, paprika, and turmeric. So again, all common spices that we all use. And if we look at this image right here, you see there are also more varieties like black pepper, chili powder, Sri Lankan curry powder. There's something called lava salt. There's the turmeric at the top left, that orange that, as we know, gets on everything. So make sure to wear gloves. But even this bottom one, I can't even pronounce this. This is asafoetida. Never heard of that before. So yeah, these are some ways that you can use your herbs and spices. Again, here's a quick video on herbs versus spices and some differences between the two, and then we'll discuss. So look, is there any plant that is both an herb and a spice? There are a few rare plants that give us both herbs and spices. Yeah, cilantro leaves and coriander seeds come from the same plant. Herbs come from the green leaves of the plants, like basil, cilantro, parsley, and thyme. Spices come from all the other aspects of the plant, like the roots, stem, bark, bulb, and seeds. There's cinnamon, cloves, ginger, and pepper are all spices. But fresh herbs have the most flavor. Yep, spices by the whole form, such as the sticks of cinnamon, mustard seeds, cloves that are full, and cumin seeds. You can use a coffee grinder or again your mortar and pestle to grind them up before you use them. Everybody got time for that. So yeah, just a quick video on what an herb is, what a spice is, the differences, how you can use them, and just additional information. So would anyone like to comment on what they learned through these slides?
Well, I didn't know the same was for, what is it, coriander and cilantro. I didn't know that was the same, the same plant. I thought it was two different things.
Me
So
too.
learned that. That was something new that I didn't know.
And I'm assuming, like, I can't think of them on top of my head, but I would try, Brenda, like try literally coriander and then like try some cilantro and see how they taste, because they probably, I don't know if they taste similar because they're part of the same plant, or maybe they taste different. I don't know. So that would be something that you could explore and see how it tastes.
Okay. Yeah. And I love parsley. Parsley is.
Oh yeah.
Love parsley.
Fresh. Do you like there's curly parsley and there's flat leaf parsley. Which one do you like?
I've been using the curly. I've been using the curly, but I've used the flat leaf as well. That's good too. I make this chicken recipe, and I use the parsley, and it gives it a good flavor. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Anybody else would like to share what they just learned?
I didn't understand, or I did not know rather, that spices and herbs can come from the same plant. And I'm like, you wouldn't think that.
Right.
I haven't gotten to the herbs and spices. I'm still using the ones that come in the jar. But I'm going to start with some of the fresh herbs and spices though.
Oh yeah. Well, hello, Miss Carolyn. It's nice to see you on. And yes, we have some more videos on just learning how to use them that I found. So I know you'll be in for a treat. But yes, herbs and spice, I thought they were two completely different things, but no, they're more intertwined than we think. It's just basically different parts of the plant are named different things, which is kind of cool.
Yes, it is.
One more person would like to share on what they learned and what they didn't know before. Mr. Andre, Bridget, Miss Laverne. Anybody would like to share on what they learned?
And I know y'all can cook out there, so
I know.
I'm sorry, I missed it. I was warming up my lunch. So I missed that section, but I'm back now, Alex.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next video and let's see if that gets
I'm ready now.
interesting. So, but yeah, next up, we're, again, love to do context. So all of you history buffs, please pay attention. But just like we did the geography of vegetables, we're going to learn about the geography of herbs and spices, where they came from. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Let's face it, spices are the best part about eating food. They're what go into sauces,
Great images
seasonings,
here,
and
so
directly onto our
this is
meals to
definitely a
make us
visual
want to
pleasure.
eat. The fact that spices are great
Yes.
has been known for millennia now, and has at certain points in history led to tremendous changes in society, economics, and people. After all, Columbus was trying to find a new route to the East Indies to access the spice trade when he accidentally stumbled upon America. That means everything afterwards, the colonization, the destruction of the indigenous population, and even the Atlantic slave trade were all inadvertently caused by the search for spices. Before that, caravans would cross deserts and seas to transport spices from one end of the known world
you
to
imagine
another.
that?
Not only did this drive
Wow.
the exchange of goods and currency, but created cultural interaction and diffusion, leading to the spread of ideas, religions, and technology across the world. Despite the huge role spices have played in human history, few people know about the vital role geography plays in both the growing and usage of spices in foods. Perhaps the most important thing to understand about them is that spices are defenses. Let me explain. So the same way predation of smaller animals by larger ones leads to certain animals developing some crazy defenses, plants are eaten by animals in what's called herbivory, which can lead to plants developing similar defenses over time. Some examples of this include plants growing thorns, high off the ground, and thick skins like bark. But by far the most common form of defense plants use are chemical defenses, usually by storing up a large amount of toxic chemicals in their bodies, so that when eaten by herbivores, it either kills them or at least injures them enough so that they never eat that plant again. So the same way poison dart frogs accumulate poison on their
Look at that
skin to
frog.
deter predators from eating them, plants will store poisons in their bodies or fruits to deter herbivores. These poisons are our spices. For bigger animals like humans, this poison just tastes interesting or different, because we have a much higher tolerance than the smaller organisms that these chemicals
look at that
target.
beetle.
By now, you might be
So
asking,
pretty.
but they're still toxins, right? So why do we enjoy eating them at all? The answer to this is actually found in the single greatest plant predator on Earth, decomposers. More specifically, bacteria and fungus. Most often, the toxins stored in the bodies of plants are to prevent the growth of these decomposers inside the body of the plant.
that
If it
fruit
weren't
is
for these
done.
chemicals, decomposers could get in and, well, decompose things, killing the plant in the process. So now, think about humans a few thousand years ago. They'd hunt and catch animals, and sometimes massive ones, whose meat would sustain tribes for days or even weeks. But they couldn't simply put their leftovers in the fridge. Without that convenience, bacteria and fungus like mold would quickly grow and make any leftover food rancid. If only there was a chemical designed to kill bacteria and fungus that was so abundant you could metaphorically say it grows on trees. Oh wait, here's this weird red thing that kind of makes my tongue tingle when I eat it, but it does exactly that. So yeah, spices were used to kill any bacteria and such growing on our food in
Look
order
at
to
that.
prolong the window in which it could be eaten. They'd also help mask any bad flavor the meat had acquired due to rot. This made spices extremely valuable.
I didn't
If
know
you
that.
wanted to survive, you had to be able to stomach these toxins. Therefore, whoever was more resilient to the toxins we called spices were more capable of surviving in times of scarce food options. Basically, whoever could handle spicier foods could eat the safest food. In this way, evolution selected towards us not only being spice tolerant, but actually for us to enjoy the flavors of spice because it meant we were eating safe food. But the use of spice didn't happen evenly across all human populations. If you think about it, we put food in refrigerators to make them colder so that they last longer. This has to do with the metabolism rates of bacteria and such, as metabolisms occur at faster rates in warmer temperatures, meaning bacteria can eat and
Yeah, so really quick, yesterday was actually a World Refrigeration Day. So this is one of the reasons why we have refrigerators. So our food doesn't spoil as fast if it was just out in the open. So we got to thank refrigerators for that.
Yeah.
Produce faster and cause even more damage. Therefore, putting food in a warm environment will shorten the amount of time that it's safe to eat. What this results in is food rotting faster in areas that experience warmer climates, like the tropics. To combat this, a greater quantity and diversity of spices are typically used in tropical and subtropical places to counteract the higher rates of bacterial growth. In colder places, like the temperate regions, the opposite is true. Sometimes, the temperature here can fall below freezing, and food will stay good if you just leave it outside, meaning there's less of a need to season it with spices. It also just so happens that it gets cold right around the same time food gets sparse, and preservation becomes a necessity. Think, in the summer, food is usually plentiful, and therefore there's no real need to preserve food because you can always find more. But in the winter, animals take refuge and all the plants lose their foliage and fruits, so the food people can find has to last longer. What I'm getting at is the only time food needs to be preserved in the temperate areas, the environment does it for us. But in the tropical regions, the dry season will come to make food scarce, but high temperatures persist, making spicing food necessary. This explains why cuisine in, let's say, Britain is disgusting, but food in, let's say, India is amazing. This is also why so many Europeans valued spices so much and sailed everywhere in the world looking for trade routes to access these spices. On the biological side of this, because bacteria and fungi grow faster in warmer conditions, plants around the equator are more likely to store up chemical defenses to dissuade them as well. So not only did people who lived in the tropics have a greater need for spices, they also had a greater and more diverse arsenal of spices to choose from. This has led certain areas on the globe to develop abundant natural spices. Because of this, instead of doing what I did with fruits and go through each fruit individually, I decided this time to go through the hot spots and then catch any spices that don't belong to a certain hot spot at the end. The first important concentration is to be found in India and the rest of Southeast Asia. This area stretches from the subtropical into the tropical and once hosted the largest and oldest rainforest on the planet. Southern India is where basil, turmeric, and black pepper, the most common pepper we use today, comes from. Curry also originated here, but that's actually a combination of several different spices, not just one plant. Further south, it's thought that cinnamon first began in Sri Lanka. To the east, we have where ginger and the licorice plant got their start. And yeah, before you ask, it's the root of the licorice plant that we used to flavor licorice candy. Lastly, for this region, we maybe have the most common spice currently being used in the world: sugar. A lot of people might disagree with this, but if you think about it, it's just another plant-derived substance we use to flavor our food, which is exactly what every other spice is too. Whether or not you consider it a spice though, sugarcane, the plant responsible for 80% of our sugar production, is thought to have come from this region as well. Nearby are what's called the Maluku or Moluccas Islands in Indonesia. However, they used to have a much simpler name, the Spice Islands. From these few small islands, cloves, mace, and nutmeg originated. It was these islands in particular that drove the Portuguese and later the Dutch into the East Indies, and it was a trade route to these islands that Columbus was looking for when he set sail in 1492. Then, on the other side of the world, Mexico was also a hub of maybe a lot of people's favorites. It was here that both paprika and vanilla originated. What's strange is that traces of vanillin, the compound that gives vanilla its flavor, has been found in old world tombs dating back thousands of years. Archaeologists found this substance coating the jugs within an untouched Bronze Age tomb in Megiddo, Israel. This indicates there might have been some exchange between the Americas and the old world almost 4,000 years ago. Also, they were using vanilla to flavor their olive oil, which, I don't know, just doesn't sound good. If that isn't enough though, it was also here that the cacao tree, what we use to make chocolate, was also first domesticated, most likely by the Olmec or Mokaya people, though the plant itself likely originated further south in the Amazon region. This plant was so prized that its beans were used as currency throughout several different Mesoamerican cultures.
Just being like natural things as currency, like that's just a mind blown in itself. And it's just seeing how if you see a certain something in another region that it's not native to, then you can just see that history and the relationship that they had to have, or the journey that something took. So I think that's so interesting as well.
What's funny is that initially this plant wasn't desired for its beans, which is the part we now use to make chocolate, but instead it was the sweet pulp of the plant that was highly valued because it would be fermented and used to make alcohol. Iran is actually where a lot of spices are grown today, as its hot and arid climate replicate those found in places like the Mediterranean and Mexico very well. As for what spices originated here, both cilantro/coriander, yeah, they're the same thing, and cumin came from this area. But I saved the most important herb and spice hotspot for last, the Mediterranean region. To start, the most common type of bay leaf comes from this region, though different types can be found across the world. Chamomile also came from this region. Mostly used for tea now, it got its name in English via French, via Latin, via the Greek word chamomilon, meaning earth apple. Fennel plants aren't too popular, but they're one of—
Chamomile means earth apple. And it gives those notes. So cool.
main ingredients in making absinthe. The Greek word for fennel is marathos, and marathon literally translates into field of fennel. So the Greek city of Marathon was originally just built in a field of fennel and named accordingly. Then a battle between the Greeks and Persians happened here, and someone had to run 26 miles to Athens to tell them about it, and that's how we ended up with the marathon race. Lavender also came from the Mediterranean region, which for the longest time went by the Greek name nard, so good call switching it to lavender. Mint has spread across the world, but it's thought to have originated here as well, though it grows best in wetter climates. Primarily, mint is grown near other, more important plants, so its pungent smell keeps other pests away. It's basically only humans that actually like the smell and taste of mint, which is weird because mint is almost exclusively used because we think it smells good. Breath mints, toothpaste, mouthwash, and chewing gum all use the aroma of this leaf, which only exists to keep herbivores from eating it with its awful smell. Actually, I guess that does make sense, because if your breath smells like something that kills bacteria, then your mouth must not have any bacteria, and therefore must be clean. Anyway, mustard plants also got their start in this region. While many might be thinking of the condiment mustard, which is made from the seeds of mustard plants, mustard as a family includes the genus Brassica, which also includes turnips, cabbage, collard greens, kale, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and canola plants.
That's why all of those have a mustardy flavor, you know, little spicy, a little something else. So, you know, the more you know, right?
Yeah, mustards are more important than people realize. Oregano, on the other hand, is known to have originated specifically in Greece, and its name comes from the Greek words oros, meaning mountain, and ganos, meaning joy, to make joy of the mountains, which is where wild oregano first grew. Saffron is one of the most expensive spices by weight, and that's because the part we use as a spice comes from the elongated stigmas.
Literally, the stigmas, like each saffron flower, the workers, they take the stigma, the red things that you see on the screen. That's why it's so expensive, because it's literally like 3, 4, 5 little stigmas per flower. So that's just amazing on itself.
Part of the saffron flower, which usually only yield a couple per flower. They were specially bred on the island of Crete during the Bronze Age to be like this. From here, it spread to become popular in foods and medicines. While rosemary, sage, and thyme also come from this general region. They're pretty regular spices. I couldn't find anything cool or specific to say about them though. And that wraps up all the major hotspots for spices. Next, we have the spices that appeared all on their own. Allspice, which has been described as sort of tasting like cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves all together, is also known by another name, Jamaican pimenta. So yeah, no surprise, allspice got its
Jamaican pimenta is also allspice. That's so cool.
Start on the island of Jamaica in the Caribbean. Cayenne peppers are the classic red pepper most people probably think about when thinking of spicy peppers. These actually come from the French Guiana in South America, specifically from the Cayenne region. Funny how that worked out. The name Cayenne originally comes from the native Tupi word iña, which also just means pepper, so cayenne pepper literally translates into pepper pepper. Garlic, in my opinion.
Pepper. Let me get some pepper on that. That's so. Weren't we just talking about names, and look at these unique names? There you go, Diane. That's what. There it is, right here.
Is just the best and comes from Central Asia, where Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and the Chinese Tian Shan Mountains meet. Then we have jasmine, which is actually a genus containing over 200 individual species. Being so numerous, it's hard to track just exactly where they started, but it's thought that southern China is where they came from. Sassafras is really the only spice I have on this list that comes from a more temperate, wet climate, originating in the east coast of North America, roughly from Ontario, Canada to Florida in the United States. It's the root of this tree that was used to flavor root beer, hence the name root beer. And last,
root beer and sassafras. Didn't know.
we have the spice melange, which we all know is native to and only grows on the desert planet of Arrakis. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, maybe consider liking and subscribing. If you'd like to support me and this channel.
Wow, so many cool little tidbits of information. Would anyone like to share on what they learned from the video?
I did not know the chewing gum came from the from plant and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
All different
So
kinds
cool.
of pepper. Wow.
Yes, Miss Morgan, I see you have your hand up. You can unmute. Would you like to share on what you learned from the video? Miss Patricia, would you like to say something on the video that you learned?
Okay. No accident. I'm signing in for the other. Okay, it's too early.
It's okay.
All right.
No, you're good. Just
yeah.
stay on, Miss
Okay,
Morgan.
how you doing? Everything.
Good,
All right.
good. Just
All right.
stay on and you'll learn more information about herbs
thank
and
you.
spices, okay?
All right, thanks a lot. All right.
No problem. Would anyone else like to share on what they learned from the video? New fun fact?
Well, Alex, they said oregano comes from the Greek word for joy or something. I missed part of that.
Yeah, joy of the mountain joy or joy of the mountains.
Okay, that's what it translates in, I guess, to Greek.
Yeah. It's just so cool how the different names of and where they come from and what they mean. So
Absolutely. Well, this has been very interesting topic this morning.
yeah, I think you suggested it, Miss Savant. So we gotta thank you for that.
Oh, I forgot that I did. And then this morning, like I said, I've got some distraction here at the house, so I can't, pay as close attention as I'd like and comment. But I'm enjoying what I'm seeing.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. And
Yes.
I saw what your comment said. So, those people, they to survive, they can survive off the land. You can survive off the land if you really need to, just if you have the information and the experience of what you can and can't eat and what you can take advantage of. It's really amazing.
And they say that's why those 4 children, even a 1-year-old, survived in the Amazon desert, not desert, but forest, because they knew the plants, which ones to eat and which ones not to eat. Although the oldest was 13 years old, she was very knowledgeable.
Oh, wow, yes.
I saw that, Yvonne.
Yes,
That
and
was
they survived 40 days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Well, bless them. And it's just, it's important to know what you can eat, what you can't eat. You never know when you're going to be in a situation where you don't have access to, your device or your phone or something. It's just good to have that in your mind and just to be aware of those important things, because you never know what type of situation you'll be in.
Yeah, they had survival skills.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Miss Shirley. Yes. Survival
How
skills is so
everyone doing?
important.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for
Hello.
that, Miss Shirley. That's what I was thinking, trying to give a word like that. They had those skills.
Yes,
and
survival skills.
that made all the difference for them, didn't it? They knew how to get a little water and other little things of nutrition to keep them going long enough for somebody to find them.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Shirley and Jackie. Nice to see you both on as well.
Oh,
I like the names. The names.
Miss. Sorry, both of you spoke. Go ahead.
What'd you
Miss
say,
Shirley,
Brenda?
And then Brenda.
No, I was saying I like the names, the other names, like the cayenne, it's called pepper, and the chamomile was earth apple. And I mean, I drink chamomile tea now. I never knew the origin. So I mean, it's good information to know, didn't know. So.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites at night, that chamomile tea. It really helps you to relax.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Yes.
And the green tea throughout the day.
Yes, that green tea is so good.
It is. I put just a little bit of garlic in mine. I just smashed one piece and then
oh, wow.
Yeah, I put a little garlic in my green tea, and it helps with my cholesterol instead of that medication the doctor gives me, because I get side effects, and that stuff does something to me, and my body lets me know something's not right. So I do the fermented vinegar, and then I do my green tea with a little garlic in it.
The Bragg, you
Oh,
use the Bragg's
oh,
vinegar? Bragg's vinegar? is
Yeah, the
good too.
Bragg's, the
oh,
Bragg's, the fermented vinegar with the mother in it. Yeah.
oh,
I
that's
saw
so
the,
cool, Jackie.
I saw
Yeah.
the okay. Alex, I saw the article on TikTok, and they said if we do more fruits and vegetables, and then we put the ginger and the what is it, turmeric
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
stuff, we won't even need to be taking all this medication. The doctors,
Exactly.
Yes,
we won't
I
even.
mean,
We'll put the doctors out of business.
Yes, and that's what they don't want.
Yeah,
That's why they give us this stuff
right,
that don't work, and
And
they just
they give
keeps
us
coming back.
use the
right. You know,
cucumbers, the pineapples, the ginger, the lemon. We can put
And
them out of
seeds
business. Some kind of
and
roots and
seeds.
stuff.
Yeah,
oh
and the
yeah,
seeds and all kinds of seeds and
Yes.
nuts. That's
Yes.
how we used to
uh,
survive, and we didn't have all these problems that we have now.
And we
And,
eat these big
yeah.
and eat beans, eat more beans
Exactly.
and stuff.
Instead of
mm-hmm.
all that meat.
Yeah.
And
Meat is
Alex,
good.
you know, sometimes
Well,
the side effects are worse than what you're trying to treat.
Say
Oh
And
that
yeah,
again.
that's why they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I mean, it's just I think it's just saying that hey, it's good to put good stuff in our body and good things will happen. So
Keep
you
it
know, we've learned
natural.
we've learned you know all the different nutrients and minerals and
yeah.
different health benefits of good whole food and natural food. So you know,
Mhm.
the more you do that, the more you don't have to worry
That's
about
right.
different things like vitamin deficiencies or
Mhm.
different illnesses or ailments that come from a lack
Yeah.
of different things that you should be intaking on a daily
Mhm.
basis. So
Yeah.
yes, just
Yes.
everything.
You
It's
And,
so
Mhm.
yes.
and Alex, when you
Yeah.
ask your doctor, they say ask your doctor about this particular medication, and then they mention the side effects, and some of the side effects, they
A
have the
word.
nerve to even say death.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Death and all kinds of stuff.
Oh.
Oh
Me, you
man, it's
know,
crazy.
hello, hi
Mm-hmm.
y'all.
Hello,
Me,
dear.
me and
Hi,
my
Miss Diane.
sister,
How are you?
I'm blessed. How are y'all today?
Good.
Me and my sister, we started on the 1st of June, something like a fast. We stopped doing meat and sweets and
Uh-huh.
just like cupcakes and stuff. In the meat, we just stopped. We only did seafood. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's so relaxing. I mean, I don't feel bloated. And
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it just makes your body feel like it's cleansing.
Yes.
You know,
It
from
feels
eating
so
so much
Yes.
meat. Because that meat is what bothers us too, y'all know.
It's
You know,
toxic
we're
to
eating
our
all this,
bodies.
yeah, all this kind of meat, and then they putting this and that in it. But the seafood, you have to be careful about the seafood that you eat too now.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but
Oh
every,
yes.
and
Eat it in moderation.
yeah, vegetables are very good for you. All
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
vegetables and fruit. A lot of fruit
Yes.
is good for you too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
everything in moderation, Miss Jones, and
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
of course, everyone's going to be a little different. You know, everyone's body's a little
Yes,
different. So of
yes.
course, you know, this is just make sure you guys go to your
Because
your
sometimes,
doctor and nutritionist, so that way
yeah,
And
you can
find
get the
out
best
what
plan for
suit
you.
that fits you
right.
right.
Because
Yes.
sometimes I'll have a taste for you know, a piece of chicken. But recently, since we started this, and it'll end on Friday, the end of the month. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a taste for it like I used to.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
You know?
I mean,
And like hamburger or I used to love to do oxtails. I had a thing for
oh
oxtails.
yeah, I love
And
me some oxtails too, man.
I cut down on that too. But it makes you feel good. You're not just so bloated no more.
Yeah,
You know?
because all that fat, all that animal
yeah.
fat is not in you, and then they put in so many steroids and those what you call it, the make you grow fast, the
Chickens.
Yeah, yes.
the
Chicken
hormones.
Hormones.
Yeah,
Oh,
that make you
okay,
grow
okay.
fast. They put that in the
Yeah.
animals along with the that
Added
other.
to-
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
and
that
that's
is getting into our
yes.
bodies and causing us a lot of, and it's messing up even our crops that grow in the ground because they keep tilling the ground with all this fancy equipment, and they're messing up the earth that used to hold the stuff that you plant. No, it won't hold it because they keep tilling it, and they're taking away the very thing that we need in the ground, such as the roots and all the other stuff. They've been messing with it so much now the some of these farms, the earth is blown away. They can't even plant anything
But I
because
have neighbors,
Oh,
I have
yeah.
neighbors, I have neighbors that's growing their own vegetables around here. It's so pretty too. It is
yes,
Oh,
so-
yeah,
I
and
that's
miss
they're
why,
those
growing
yeah,
them.
neighborhood gardens.
that's why, that's why it's so important just to be, you know, if you are able to just get hormone free, like pesticide free, different,
Yes.
just more natural things that are better for us. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Miss Diane, Miss Jackie. I just want to make sure we get through the hands. I see Miss Jeanette.
Okay.
You've had your hand up for a minute, but what's one thing that you learned from the video?
That's so great because I was just listening to all the different spices. And it's kind of amazing that people are now talking about the different spices. There's a book out that's called Foraging for Survival. And it gives you all of the plants that you can honestly go into the woods and forage for yourself
How
to be
about
able
that?
to sustain life. One of the things that really surprised me was everybody calls the dandelion a weed. But people have been eating dandelion
Yeah.
leaves for a very long time. It's some type of rabbit green or something. They say that this particular leaf has just about every vitamin and mineral that you could possibly, that your body could possibly use. But you know, if you want your lawn nice and green, then you know you can't have dandelions on it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I've
Can
heard
I
of that
add this
before.
in very quickly? I forgot a minute ago, but B1, guys, we're majority of us, like 98% of us humans are low on B1. And that's in our leafy greens and our seeds and nuts and the fruit. If you look it up for yourself, those of you that is computer savvy or iPad savvy, you can look up B1 and see how important and valuable that is to the body. All the B vitamins, really 6 and 12, but B1 especially can make a big difference in our health and keep us from falling and getting, you know, those kind of serious things happening. B1 is a very important vitamin that we are low in deficiency in.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Jackie. We appreciate that. And I've heard of B1, B12, just a lot of different vitamins that we need in our daily system. So thank you so much for that.
B6 too, Alex.
Yes,
all
the B's, all the different, everything. So
all of them. All
so
the
yes.
Yep.
Thank you so much for that. Miss Georgia Thomas, it's nice to see you on. Would you like to say one thing that you learned from the video?
I learned a lot, and I already knew a lot because I've been eating dandelion greens as I grew up. My mother used to make them for us. She knew that they were good. And we had gardens, we grew, we did organic. There was no, fertilizer. You used the ashes from the wood stove and all those type of things.
You're bringing back memories, girl.
Yes. And yeah, and it's the truth. And the leaves, you use those. We didn't rake leaves and, dispose of them like you do now.
Compost.
But anyhow, I like turmeric. I use that quite a bit. I use lemon. I put lemon in my water. Also, cucumbers. They're very good for your water. Makes it.
Oh, yes.
You can peel them or you can wash them and leave the peel on and just put them in your.
Yeah, it's very helpful and healthy.
And you got to also remember we have a lot of this GMO going on now where they're, adding and doing artificial foods. They're not really real.
Right.
Oh, yes. So it's just
GMO.
What is GMO?
It's genetically
modified
foods.
Yes, because I mean, at the end of the day, so I mean, just really quick on that, that's a little, but as a society, we keep, there are more humans that are born than are going away. So in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we might be experiencing food shortages, like massive food shortages. So people are just trying to figure out different ways for us to be able to sustain ourselves as humankind. So
That's
you know,
right.
everything.
So how do you
will,
think that we could sustain ourselves? Could you sustain on beans, greens, grains, and seeds and vegetables?
All
Could
the
you
Yes,
above.
of course. I think it's
Yeah.
just important for whatever that we
Mhm.
ingest. I mean, it's just to be aware of what we're
Right.
eating and just to look into it if it's something that we may not be as experienced with. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's why Google is our friend and seeing what's going on and seeing what foods and are
Right.
available and which to avoid. So you know,
Mhm.
it's a case by case basis. But I think
And
we just
Mhm.
as a humankind are just trying to figure out different things.
yeah, that's why they come up with this plant-based burgers
Thank
and all that kind of stuff. And
Oh
these
yeah.
seasonings are this program was very informative. I remember living in the UK. This was something very hard to come by. And living over in London and over in Spain and all of those areas. And they have a certain type of spices, but not like the Americas. Man, spices, the food over there was so bland. You wouldn't think
Oh
so,
wow.
but in Italy, those women learned to do other things and to spice the foods up. But for the most part, in the Netherlands over there, the food was so bland compared to the States. And
Oh
so all those
wow.
spices are very good and healthy for us. We used to use them a lot, our ancestors, but a lot of people have gotten away from them, or either they don't know the importance of them. They done skipped a generation or so that they're not really interested in really learning about how beneficial those spices and stuff are, like that turmeric and all the other spices that they had mentioned in this.
Clothes.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
all of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as the video went over, again, spices were used back in the day to kill bacteria and fungi
Yeah.
in our food, and to
Mhm.
also improve the taste of the food that we ate. And I think that was an interesting fact. Just spices being more grown in the warmer areas or climates of the world was really interesting, and how that kind of played into what humans in whatever area that they were in were able
Mhm.
to consume. So I thought this video was very interesting. So I'm gonna Miss Shirley, Miss Stephanie, we're gonna watch the next video, and I'm gonna get right to you next. Okay. So our next video is actually how to use spices like a pro, and just a general overview of what spices are and how you can use them. So let's go ahead and watch this video and learn more.
I like to think of cooking as an art, and spices are one tool that we can use to create new masterpieces in the dishes we prepare. So today we're going to chat about how we can harness the power of spices to elevate our cooking to greater heights. If you don't know how to store and use spices properly, you could be missing out on all of their amazing flavors and health benefits. So in today's video, we're going to explore 3 essential steps when it comes to making the most out of our herbs and spices. We're going to chat about how to purchase them wisely, store them appropriately, and use them
Buy, store,
skillfully
and use
to maximize their freshness and nutrition, all while making dishes with bold and dynamic flavors. We've also created a free article and a free downloadable PDF. I'm going to link those for you below, but for now, just sit back and relax, and let's learn all about how to use spices like a pro. When it comes to buying our spices, quality and freshness are everything. So it really matters where we're buying our spices, what in particular we're buying, and how much of it we're buying. When it comes to where to buy, in my opinion, I think the fresher the better. And this is why I usually like to hit up our local Asian supermarket.
Yeah,
The reason being
markets,
they're usually
Asian
super
markets,
busy. So I know this means they're also
best
restocking their shelves
spices and
frequently
seasonings.
with fresh spices. They also just have like a massive selection of spices to choose from. It feels like being a kid in a candy store. And if you're overwhelmed and you don't know where to begin, we'll chat in 2 seconds about which spices you might want to consider buying. But it can also be a fun exercise. Robin and I do this sometimes, where we'll just go to the grocery store and we'll pick up a new spice that we haven't tried before and find a way to experiment with it that week. When it comes to which spices to buy, that's entirely up to you, but there are certain classics that I keep defaulting to. And if you want to make any of our pickled limes recipes, there's certain spices we just use on repeat. So excluding salt and pepper, in order from what we use most often to kind of lesser often, is first up ground cinnamon, followed by onion powder, paprika powder, garlic powder, cumin, turmeric, oregano, coriander, and curry powder. So if you're not sure where to start, these are a safe bet.
Great start.
And then when it comes to something like black pepper, cumin, and coriander, you might wonder if getting the whole seeds or the ground version is better. They each have their pros and cons. The ground spices are super convenient, but they do have a shorter shelf life, whereas whole spices have a longer shelf life, and they can be enjoyed whole or ground up. And if you do grind it up just before using it, you're gonna be supercharging the flavor in your dish. So in my opinion, purchase both if you can. Otherwise, go for the ground spices if you're looking for convenience, and whole spices if you're looking for versatility. And then when it comes to how much to buy, now this is something we're gonna chat more about in a little bit, but spices and herbs tend to lose their nutrition and flavor potency over time. So it's better to buy in smaller amounts and more frequently, especially if it's a spice that you're not using that often. And before you purchase anything, always check the expiration on the back of the packaging. Just make sure you're not buying anything that's gonna expire within the next year. Storing spices correctly is incredibly important when it comes to preserving their nutritional value and taste. So let's explore that in a little bit more detail. We all know by now that fruits and vegetables are incredible sources of antioxidants that help protect our bodies from damage, in turn reducing the risk of certain diseases. Well, spices and herbs also contain potent antioxidants and in pretty high concentrations. So when looking at the antioxidant content of a particular food, normally you look at something that's called its ORAC value. Essentially, all you need to know is that the higher the ORAC value is, the more antioxidant.
ORAC, oxygen radical absorbance capacity. Try saying that 3 times.
That food has. So if we were to put things into perspective, blueberries, which are often hailed as a superfood for their antioxidant content, these have an ORAC value that's just shy of 4,700 per 100 grams. Whereas dried basil has an ORAC value that's 61,000. That's 13 times as much. Then turmeric and cinnamon have nearly double that amount. Oregano has an ORAC value of 175,000, only to be topped by ground cloves. And naturally, no one is having a 100-gram portion of these spices in one sitting. That would be absurd. We're just adding little sprinkles here and there. But I think what I'm trying to share is that these values add up, especially if you're enjoying these herbs and spices with every single meal. So be generous with that ground cinnamon that's in your porridge. Enjoy the turmeric in your smoothies. Go wild with the basil and oregano in your pastas. You're gonna be loading up on some wicked antioxidants. So it's cool to know that spices and herbs are a great source of antioxidants, but what does it have to do with storing them? Well, pretty much everything actually. You see, antioxidants are easily broken down when they're exposed to air, light, and moisture. And similarly, there are these volatile oils that are in our herbs and spices, and these are what contribute to their incredible flavor and aroma, but these also break down when exposed to the same elements. So if we're not storing our spices and herbs properly, we're not only losing in their nutritional value, but we're also losing their flavor potency. So what do we do about it? Essentially, store them properly. It's best to store them in well-sealed, airtight containers that are in a cool, dry place. So try to keep it away from windows, stoves, ovens, and dishwashers. When you've just used a spice, be sure to close the lid right away so moisture isn't getting in there from whatever it is that you're cooking. And always use clean and dry utensils when measuring spices. Just remember that adding moisture to our spices can cause them to spoil and go bad faster. Lastly, I'd recommend labeling your containers with either the date that you bought your spice or the expiration date, just so you're keeping track of its freshness. As a general rule of thumb, whole spices are the most fresh in the first year, whereas ground spices and dried herbs are the most fresh in the first 6 months, but both can last up to a couple of years at least, as long as they're stored properly. Another way that you can tell that your spices are getting old and that it's time to replace them is just by looking at them. So I've got 2 different kinds of chives here. This one is freshly purchased, and you can see from the color that it's got this beautiful green hue to it, and it smells delicious. Whereas these chives have been sitting in our pantry for too long. They've kind of turned this grayish color, and adding this to a dish is not going to be doing it any favors. So it's time to swap these ones out. All right, now we can delve into the exciting part, which is how to use our spices to elevate our dishes. If you're new to using spices at first, I'd say just try learning from recipes that you trust. Act a little bit like a student. Pay attention to what's being used, how much of that spice is being used. I think that's sometimes where some of the confusion comes from. Do I add 1/4 teaspoon, a tablespoon? You'll start to notice things like ground cloves, nutmeg, just a little pinch is good. Oregano, cinnamon, you can add a whole lot more than that. Essentially, by following recipes, you'll start to notice certain patterns in how much and what is being used. From there, it can help to familiarize yourself with certain spice combinations in certain cuisines. Like for example, Mexican-inspired dishes commonly use spices like cumin, paprika, chili, and oregano, while Indian-inspired dishes incorporate warm spices, things like turmeric and ginger, as well as spice blends like curry powder and garam masala. Sticking to these tried and tested spice combinations is gonna make sure that your dishes are tasting deliciously exquisite. And so now that we know which spices to use, the next question kind of becomes, well, when do I use it? When do I add it into a dish? So let's explore that a little bit, starting first with whole spices. So these take a little bit longer to cook, a little longer to release their flavor into a dish, so naturally you'll want to add them earlier on in the cooking process. It's also important to know about something called blooming, which is essentially where we cook our spices first in a little bit of oil or fat. It helps to extract the fat-soluble flavor compounds that are in the spices. I kind of like to think of it as waking up spices that were previously asleep. So when it comes to whole spices, if you're gonna be using them, again, you're adding it earlier on, cooking it for a minute or two, ideally in an oil or a fat, until they start to pop and become fragrant. At this point, we can add in things like onion and garlic, cooking those until they're translucent or gold before adding in the ground spices. Ground spices have a very high surface area. They will burn, so you don't want to cook those for very long at all. So usually you want to stir quite vigorously, toasting them for 30 to 60 seconds just to wake them up before adding in any other remaining ingredients or liquids. And you've heard me say this in previous recipe videos, but just don't add your liquids too soon. Toasting your spices, even if it's just for a few seconds, can make a world of flavor difference. But all in all, I feel like cooking is like an art. It requires creativity, skill, and a passion for the craft. So welcome to the world of spices. Enjoy the process, make mistakes, because that's how you learn and grow. And I hope that some of the tips that we shared in today's video makes you feel a little bit more confident when it comes to using spices. As a reminder again, we do have a free downloadable PDF. Link is in the description. It goes even more into detail about different spices, what dishes they pair well in. And thanks so much for hanging with me today, friends. I really appreciate it. Happy cooking.
So that was just so interesting on how to buy, how to store, and how to use spices.
Yes.
So yes, Miss Stephanie or Miss Shirley, what did you learn from the video? Go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. Yes, I just like to use a lot of cayenne pepper. Like when I cook a scrambled egg or something, I like to put that in with my egg. And earlier I wanted to talk about the what's that, the with the tea. It was the sassafras tea. That is a tea that you have to buy in the at the market, like at the farmer's market or something. My grandmother years ago used to used to give that to us in the wintertime with castor oil to clean us out and everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And she used to make baked biscuits with it and give us the tea and the biscuits with that king syrup.
Oh wow, Miss Shirley,
Really
that
nice.
sounds delicious.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Okay, yes, it was. I enjoyed the video, both of them. I like to put, I say, cook it with tender love and care. And
Oh yes, you got to. And obviously, like she had you could just hear from her voice that she loves spices. And
Yeah.
there was some really great tips in there. As she said, there was a guide that I had a chance to look at. So this is one of the blends. So a curry powder is actually a blend of black pepper, cardamom, cloves, coriander, cumin, fennel, nutmeg, turmeric. Italian season is basically basil, marjoram, oregano, rosemary, and thyme. 5 spices: cassia, cloves, fennel, should be star anise, and Szechuan pepper. So that's really cool. I didn't know like what Italian season, like what is Italian season? What is curry powder? So this tells you what there actually are. And if I go to their website or their actual PDF, again, this was actually a guide. So there's different combinations, different
Oh.
dishes that you can do. So
Mm.
if we open the PDF, I can just share like a few pages of it. But look, they have the basics with the herb and
Cumin.
possible uses for that particular spice or herb. They also give you tips. They also give you even more specialized herbs and spices, some tips. So by dish, by cuisine, and different tips on storing them. So like storing whole spices freshest in the first year, but can last for 3 to 4 years. Ground spices are freshest in the first 6 months. Same thing with dried herbs. And spice and herb blends are the least long lasting, but they're still freshest in the first 6 months. So it's quite interesting that it's not just herbs and spices. There's kind of a lot that goes into it about how you can really enhance the flavors and what you're eating. So I thought that was quite cool. So yeah, for a few minutes, I do have one more thing to show you all, but really quickly, would anyone like to share what they learned from the video on how to use herbs and spices?
It broadened my horizons with the spices and helped me to, as I'm relearning or just learning things, sometimes it just feels like for the first time. I just embraced that reality after these strokes. So, and by me doing it that way, I'm just learning, and it's amazing. And it's just awesome just to be able to, just to know it. And it's just a matter of time. I'll be in that kitchen. I'm going to give it another try. I don't know when, but I'll know when the right time is, but it's going to be a minute, because the last time I was in there, I had both of my hands burnt.
Oh, well,
Can't have that again.
you got this. You got it, Jackie. We
All right,
believe in
thank you for
so
that.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's about knowing the information, knowing that information.
That's
and
right.
once you get enough, that again, that light bulb comes on, and you're like, hey, I can do this thing, right?
Yeah. Try it. It's
So-
motivate me. Yeah, I just need the body to go along with me.
Oh yes. So just one step at a time, okay, Jackie?
That's right. Yes.
And one thing
Thank
also, when you're
you.
using different spices, you need to know what go with what. Because
Exactly.
Oh
Yes.
yes, and I'll be
something.
showing that. I'll be showing that in a second, Denise. So you just wait.
Okay. Okay.
Diane, did you
I was-
what did you learn from the video?
I
well,
just
really don't do a lot
oh
of cooking.
that
Yeah,
My-
Diane Leach. Sorry,
Oh,
Miss
I
Jones. Diane Leach.
apologize.
I just learned there's so many things that you can use in cooking, because all I ever used was salt and pepper and seasoning.
Yes.
and it worked for me, but now I see so many different things that you can use for different flavors.
Mhm.
And I have been using different things, and it tastes a lot better, but I'm telling you, I'm learning something. But you had to wait till I got older to teach me this.
Oh well.
Better now than never,
I know
Diane.
you're never too late. So
Exactly.
there's with all topics, there's like there's just so much information out there. So it's just I take it one step at a time, because you guys are learning with me. Like I didn't know any of this really. Like I know I know that they're good for you. I know that some of them did have like those nutritional values, but I didn't know like the history or the context, or like again, like where they came from, where where to use it best. So there's always an additional layer of something. So just explore, and you may never know what you're gonna learn. So
That's
Yeah,
right.
you
Very
never know.
briefly, they don't just taste good. They're very nutritional for us, guys.
Mhm.
These
Lots of different
spices can keep us healthy and give us what our bodies need. And that's the very importance that I'm getting out of this, is the importance of these different vitamins, coumadin and all those other ones. I can't remember them all, but yeah, all of them has a value of properties. It's not just for taste. We got to eat for what's good for the body. For this is the best real estate we can own, is this human body.
Oh yes. That is such a good way of putting it, Jackie. You got to take care
Yeah.
of yourself, you know, you got to take care of yourself just like, you know, you would take care of somebody else really well. So
Right.
thank you so much for that. Brenda, what did you learn from the video?
Well, I learned about storing them. I mean, you know, I didn't know that they last, you know, certain ones last certain periods of time, but I'd like to get a bunch of those little containers.
Yeah.
We
I
had
know, right?
to store them. I mean, you know, because she showed the difference between one spice that had the bright color and the next one that didn't. So I think I'd
One
like to invest in getting those containers, because I mean, I cook with a lot of spices myself, and they probably over 3 years old. So
Oh, they didn't lose
but
that.
yeah, that's what I learned. And then how to bloom your flavors to deepen the flavors for your dishes. So
So important.
I think that would be a good thing. And also, you know what, I wanted to say that I think Dr. Mundy would be so proud of us, you know, when we were talking about different things like doing the tea with the smashed garlic and drinking the Bragg vinegar and, you know, just trying to get our bodies, you know, healthy instead of taking all of this medication. I think the next time she comes on, we need to bring this up to her. I think she would
good idea.
You I know you mentioned it on last week, so you know I know that made her happy as well. So yeah, I mean,
yes.
She may not be on for a while. She usually comes around once a month, but you know, when she does, just remind her, hey, have you learned about herbs and spices and all this other stuff? So
yes.
So yes, thank you so much for that, Brenda. I'm gonna move on to our last thing for today, which again is a little bit of review, and then we'll have a discussion before our session. So we have about 20 minutes till 1:30. So let's just keep that in mind. But again, so a few weeks ago, I did a advanced training on apps for cooking. One of the apps was called Supercook. It's a recipe by ingredient app. So I just wanted to review it for you all in regards to this session. So this app, how many times have you opened the fridge and thought to yourself, what can I make with what I have? Supercook to the rescue. This app only shows you recipes that require ingredients you already have. With Supercook, you can build a virtual pantry with the ingredients you have at home, get creative in the kitchen with over 11 million recipes, and reduce food waste, because if you're only inputting what you have, you're going to use what you have, and that food will not be put to waste. You know, again, like I said during this session, reducing food waste, or like a zero waste life, is a super important concept to me. Like, everything has its purpose, so you should really use it if you have access to it, because some folks don't have access to a lot of different types of food or food at all. So it's important just to like be grateful and use what you have, so that way, you know, it's put to use. But yeah, with this app, as you can see, this is what your home screen is going to look like. You can again create your own virtual pantry with what you have. So in order to download the app, you go to the App Store, of course. So when you go to the App Store, you're going to want to hit search and search for the name of this app, which again is Supercook. So when I hit search and I tap the search bar, I'm going to type in Supercook. And when you hit the enter sign, it's right there at the top right. So it looks like a spoon with the hero cape on
right
it.
there.
So yeah, so that is the Supercook app. Once you open it, of course, you'll be adding ingredients to your pantry. But if I hit the bottom left icon, so the navigation bar is at the bottom. Once you hit the bottom left, that is your pantry. Okay. So again, it says the only ingredients we assume you have are salt, pepper, and water, and you can literally select all of the ingredients or food items that you have in your home, and then you can look up all the different recipes regarding those different ingredients. So for you guys, if I hit this top right button, you can actually remove all the ingredients. So let's say you just want to do a recharge or a recount of what you have. You can remove all of the ingredients that you have. And look, at the bottom, you see there's like pantry essentials, vegetables, mushrooms, fruits, berries, all different things that you can select. There's also an herbs and spices section. So if you go here and select all the different spices that you have, you can look for recipes that are specifically in regards to those specific herbs and spices. So let's say I have some mustard seeds, some cracked pepper, some coriander, some sage, some dill, some rosemary. I have a bay leaf, garlic powder, basil, thyme, cumin. I'm just thinking of what I actually have in my pantry. So everyone's going to be a little different. You see there are common ones, and there are also very unusual ones as well. But look, I selected these. Again, you can go through this whole app and pick what you have. And look, once you do that, you can hit see recipes right here at the bottom right. And look, it says you can make 59 recipes with your 11 ingredients. So you can, obviously you'll need to add like food in order to have actual recipes, but look, there are even recipes for herbs and spices. Like, look, yeah, Paula Deen's house seasoning mix, house seasoning, garlic salt, toasted seasoning salt, homemade garlic salt. If I go back to the pantry and for the essentials, or let's go to cheese, let's say I have some Parmesan, some mozzarella, some feta. Let's say I have some bacon or ground beef or ground pork. Poultry, let's say I have some chicken breast or ground chicken. Let's say I have some salmon, cod, whatever you'd like. So what you have in your pantry, if I go back to see recipes again, look, I can make 590 recipes with your 21 ingredients. So they give you all the different recipes with all of those different ingredients. They also have suggestions. If you have additional ones, you can add them to your list from here. And look, so here's one that's really simple. Oven roasted bacon with rosemary. So that's all it is bacon and rosemary sprigs. So you can see what goes with what based on different categories like breakfast and brunch, Asian, using your salmon, appetizer and snacks, ground pork, using your cod, chicken breast, oven free, mozzarella. So all different recipes that you can, that definitely have at least one of those herbs and spices that you added additionally. And you can see different things. So like using your time, using your crock pepper, a crock pot rotisserie chicken. So you can see, again, see different recipes based on the different herbs and spices and other ingredients that you have in your pantry just by using this app. So it's quite
What's
easy.
What's the name of the app again?
Again, it's called Super Cook. So you can search Super Cook on the App Store, and then again you can see the different recipes that you can use or can utilize based on what you have in your pantry. So I just wanted to show that to you guys really quick before ending for today. So yeah. Anyone would like to share on what they thought of today, what they learned, if they would like to start using the app, things of that nature. You know, we always like to get feedback and such. So I'm going to go based on the hands first, and then it'll be an open discussion. So Diane, you have your hand up. Diane Leach, you can unmute. Or Brenda, you can also share your thoughts.
Okay, well, I'm gonna I'm gonna put that Super Cook in because I'm cooking tomorrow and I don't know what to cook. So, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I could add on there to give me some ideas of what to cook for dinner. So that was awesome. I like that, the Super Cook. Yeah. So I'm putting that on my iPad.
Oh, awesome. Again, when I did the training back like 2 months ago, it was so fun to just find that this tool, this free tool, was available to anyone. So
I may already have it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were there during that training, Brenda. So
no, look, I may already have it. I just probably never used it, but yeah. But that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna use that. Yeah, and I like these herbs and spices. Yeah, in fact I just printed off the listing of the herbs and spices. So
wow, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank you, Alex.
Yes, I hope you enjoyed today.
I did. I really did.
Yes. Next up is well, Diane again. Diane Leach. If you have anything to say, please speak up. But Kim. Hi, Kim. Go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
How's it going,
Hi,
Kim?
everybody. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Kim.
Let me ask you something. Do you know if there's any apps that will talk about like health, like lupus or irritable bowel syndromes and stuff like that?
Sure. That's a great question, Kim. So the App Store, again, it has over almost 2.5 million apps. So there is many different options available. I know a website that I know of is called WebMD. I'm pretty sure that they have an app for it. But yes, if you simply Google like health apps or information apps regarding illnesses and ailments and things of that nature, then you'd be surprised at what you can find. So I would
okay.
check out the App Store and see what's available, okay?
Okay, I'm glad that this app that you Super Cooked is off the chain and you are off the chain. I just came from Brown's Market in Forestville, getting some health issues, some things for mine, because I have irritable bowel syndrome. To getting some beets powder and a whole lot of stuff, cooking herbs and stuff. And it's just like the glut where you go there and you just, the stuff is in bulks and you just get as much as you want. And I'm telling you, this app right here, I just downloaded it and it is awesome.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Kim. Again, I had so much fun making that presentation and just learning about the different tools that are available and just saying, hey, I have this and this and this, what can I make with it? Like that may be so simple just as an idea, but the actual execution of this app is really great. So
yeah, because I always
enjoyed it.
I always wondered what herbs can you put together? You know, what herbs can be cooked together?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's this, there's, you know, again, you can Google is your best friend. I mean, Google's my best friend. That's how I get all the information for everything. So if you just search herb blends or spice blends or herbs that would go together or herbs and spices that would go together, you'll get all that different information and available to you. So
okay, one more question, Alex. Do anybody know what I can substitute garlic for? Because I can't have garlic with lupus.
What does that say right there? So that's a good question. So that's again something that would be a great Google question. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it into you now. You can use like chives or green onions. You can also use shallots. And then they say cumin is actually kind of similar tasting to garlic. So you can use a bit of cumin as well. To replace that garlic. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Alex.
No problem, Kim. I hope you enjoyed today's session.
Okay, oh yeah.
But thank you so much, Kim. Would anyone else like to share on what they learned, what they didn't know before, what caught them by surprise? Anyone else would like to share?
What's the name of that app? Alice Herb and Spices.
No, it's called Super. So the app that we just went over, it's called Super Cook.
Spice one, Herb and Spices.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, Denise.
Oh, the spice one. What was the
Master
name?
and Spices?
No, it's called Guide to Spices and Herbs.
Oh, Guide to Spices.
Guide, yeah. And
okay. Yeah. So that was an app. That was a guide. So if you just search herbs and spices guide on Google, that'd probably be one of the first ones that popped up, because that was one of the first ones that popped up for me. And that's how I found that guide in that video. So just search herbs and spices guide, and that will probably be the first or second search link that you see, okay?
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. No problem. Miss Carrie. Hi, Miss Carrie. What did you learn from the video or from the session today?
Well, I did not, I missed it, and I thought it was coming on at 1:30, and I thought it's a couple more minutes before then. I said, well, I'll just tune in. Will you have this session again?
Miss Carrie, we have the Lunch Club Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. So this is we have it Monday through Thursday through 12 o'clock, and based on different days, we have a different topic.
The one you had today.
if I ever get the opportunity to be able to do that, I sure will. But of course, we have a lot of different sessions. This is actually my sixth session with you all with the lunch club. So hopefully in the future, but we'll definitely keep that in mind. Okay, Miss Carrie?
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it.
It's okay. It's just remember, check Teresa's email for all of our different sessions for the day, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, no problem. Thanks for coming on. Miss
Now, Alex,
Bridget,
isn't it
and
recorded?
yes,
Yeah, that's why
not our they are so for our lunch clubs they're
Oh,
just
okay.
I know they're not posted as of yet, but yeah, that's why, you know, for some things just makes, you know, it's just important that if you're able to just make sure you get on to get that information, okay?
Okay.
Yes, next up is Janelle and Bridget. Hi there, how are you?
Hey there, Alex. This is Bridget. Janelle's in the kitchen cooking now. But
Okay,
I downloaded the Super Cook and I
awesome.
put in everything that was in my pantry. And then I clicked on use my ingredients to find recipes, and they came up with 5,487
Oh
recipes.
yeah. The more
That was
ingredients you put, the more
awesome.
recipes that you're gonna get. So I loved finding this. It was so cool when I did that training.
Yeah, and it was really good because now I can use the stuff that I have in the house without having to really go out and actually buy stuff, so that I can make recipes that I haven't tried.
Oh yeah. It's
I
about
thought that
reducing
was
that
awesome.
food waste. Is so
And it
important,
was
just like you
easy.
said.
Yeah, I looked at the recipes and they're really simple and easy.
Oh
So that's
yes.
I thank you for that. This is great.
Oh, no problem, Bridget. Did you like the videos that we showed today?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What did you learn?
Well, I learned a lot about my spices that I have, and the majority of the spices that the lady said that are the main ingredient spices, I have them already. I cook with those spices every day. And you know, I'd learned that some plants, but I'm not a good plant identifier, so I wouldn't be able to go do that. I'll probably poison myself or something.
Oh
But
goodness, me too, Bridget.
yeah, I can't identify, because some plants look just the same to me when I go out. I can identify some, but not many. But I wouldn't be the one that would survive. Those children will run rings around me. But yeah, it was great. It was a great videos. All the videos you showed.
Did you hear your brother?
Oh, thank you
I
so much.
always learn so much from your programs.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Bridget. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
I mean, it's again, it's all like I always say, it's a two-way street. You know, when I research stuff, like I'm learning it, and you know, I make sure to utilize it in my daily life in some way, shape, or form if you know, if I can or have the opportunity to. So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed all of our sessions. So
Yeah, I always
thank
try
you.
to try everything you send out. I try it. If it's good, I keep it. If it's not good for me, I don't use it. But most things have been very useful.
Oh, well, that's so glad to hear. Thank you so much, Bridget.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it is about that time. It's 1:27, so please get yourselves something to snack on, something to drink, using the restroom. But it's always a pleasure to present this information, or any information, but especially food. It's such a vast topic, and you really get into the nitty-gritty of learning different things. You know, just as simple as fruits and veggies, and really their origins and how they came to be, and how we can utilize them in our daily life in order to make our lives positive and to improve our bodies and our health. So yeah, thanks so much for getting on. And we have our advanced session tomorrow at 10:30. I'll be continuing my games presentation from last Wednesday. I also will be doing the lunch club on Thursday, and we'll be talking about beverages, so please look forward to that. But other than that, you all have a great session with Ms. Courtney Wikes, who is our guest for today. And thanks so much for participating in today's lunch club.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Alex.
Alex.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon,
Good
Teresa.
Good
afternoon.
Bye, Miss
afternoon,
Teresa.
Teresa.
Love you.
Yep, thank you. How's everybody?
Good.
Fantastic. Ooh, look at that
We-
watermelon. That look
Oh, that
good.
look
Right.
good.
We do have a special guest this afternoon. And her name is Courtney. Courtney.
Make sure to make her co-host, Teresa.
Yeah,
You
she's
made
already.
you
she's
made Miss
already.
Carolyn. You made Miss Carolyn co-host.
Hold on. Let me see.
Yes. Hi, Miss Courtney. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm great. Happy to be here.
So,
Yes, I
Thank you so
like
much for
your
having me.
plants.
yes.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome you with I'm Teresa. We've been communicating back and forth, and I'm going to present my audience to you, Senior iPad Program. These are seniors that are anxiously waiting to hear all about your topic, scamming. And I was just reading this morning on cryptocurrency and the scamming that's going on with that. And it is so scary. And who are the most vulnerable population that's being targeted? Seniors. Seniors, yes. So I'm going to present to you Courtney, and everyone say hello to Courtney and thanking her for bringing this very critical information to us.
Hi, Miss
Hello, Courtney.
Hi,
Thank you, Miss Courtney.
Hello, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney. Miss Courtney.
So great to be here.
Thank you so much for the info.
Yeah,
Hello,
I
Miss
was-
Courtney.
Hi, hello. All right, let me pull up my slideshow here. One moment.
Just as a reminder, please silence all of your TVs and your cell phones, please, so that way everyone's able to hear all the information. So just keep that in mind. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, are you all seeing my slideshow now?
Yep, visible.
Okay. So feel free to ask questions as we go along. And if you could raise your hand, I will pay attention to my little windows and we'll call on you as soon as I
Courtney,
see your hand.
they raise
Yes.
their hands digitally. They know how. So that's how
Your
they
digital hand.
right.
Yeah,
digital
yeah.
hands. Mhm.
All right. Okay, so today we're going to have a conversation about scams and fraud. A little introduction to myself. My name is Courtney Wikes. I'm a staff attorney at Tzedek DC, where I lead our financial exploitation and fraud prevention project. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the project in a moment. So first, a disclaimer. This is a general training. It's not legal advice, and I am not creating an attorney-client relationship with anybody here. If you do feel that you need legal advice, you should reach out to a lawyer who can listen to your particular issue and then tell you how the law applies to your situation. All right, so quick overview of the presentation. I'm going to start by providing an introduction to Tzedek DC, my organization. Then we're going to talk about some common scams that target seniors. We are actually not, I don't have anything about cryptocurrency scams in the presentation, but I'm very happy to talk about that at the end. And any other scams that you all have heard about and want to talk about. Then we'll talk about how you can protect yourself from scams and what to do if you think you may be a victim of a scam. And then I'll provide my contact information again at the end, and we can go through any additional questions that you may have. All right, so Tzedek DC is a nonprofit organization, and we are headquartered at UDC's David A. Clark School of Law in Van Ness. You can see a picture here of the entrance to our building. We're up on the 3rd floor. Many of the attorneys at Tzedek DC went to UDC. And so they're just back at home at the organization. We do 3 buckets of work: direct legal services, where we provide legal assistance to DC residents who have a low income and are dealing with consumer or debt cases. And scams and fraud kind of fall under consumer issues because it's finance related. We also work on policy change. We recently pushed the DC Council to get rid of the requirement that you have to pay any fines and fees over $100 in order to renew your driver's license. So somebody you know may have tried to renew their license. They weren't able to because a parking ticket that they weren't able to pay doubled from $100 to $200, and then it just spiraled out of control there, and they weren't able to get to work, to make money, to pay off the parking ticket. It was just a very unequal system that we had in place here in DC, and now folks can go to the DMV and renew their license even if they're unable to afford a parking ticket. Okay, and then last, education. We do outreach presentations like this. And actually, one other thing I want to note on the policy change is that we're also currently working on another policy to address financial abuse, where a lot of victims of abuse have debt that they incurred in their relationship that they didn't really want to take out, but maybe they were pressured into taking out debt. And currently in DC, there's no way to really deal with that other than just paying the debt. But a lot of other states are finding ways to help survivors of domestic abuse escape having to deal with the debt, and we're doing that in DC soon. Okay, our mission. Well, first off, our name comes from a Jewish teaching, Tzedek Tirdoff, which means justice, justice you shall pursue. And our mission is to protect the legal rights and financial health of DC residents with lower pay, dealing with abusive debt collection practices and other consumer problems. And we do this work with racial and disability justice in mind, because many DC residents who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color and people with disabilities are more likely to face these problems. And that's borne out by statistics. Our goal over time is to change unfair systems and empower our clients and the community. And I'm going to just quickly run through the different kinds of services that we offer. So we can provide legal help in debt collection cases, for cases that are in court in front of a judge. We can help DC residents protect their rights as a consumer. So if you, for example, were unexpectedly charged an extra fee for a service, we can help you look at whether that was illegal. And if so, we can help you deal with that. Yes, Rosetta. You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I find myself to be in a situation. Mine's is from a program, or not a program, a medical health facility called MBI. I'm still with the services because I get a shot every month called Invega. And the reason why I'm still with them is because I need my Invega shot. Also, I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. But my question is, can you help me if someone at MBI is taking advantage of me or has taken advantage of me and they still have my name saying they service me? She's saying she's my legal guardian, all that garbage. She's never done anything for me. I won't say her name, but she's never done anything for me as a lawyer. She behaves as if she's still working for me, which I stopped that last year. And I just want her or my name taken off anything that she has it on. And I've been trying to get help with that. I can't seem to get help.
That's a great question, and definitely something that we could meet with you about.
Yes.
So I've written your name down, and I hope that at the end of this presentation, you'll write down our phone number and call in and set up a consultation.
Yes, ma'am.
Courtney, what you could do is just place your contact information in the chat, and that's where the seniors grab that information from.
Okay. Yes, Jeanette.
Also, Sam, my delivery guy, for bringing all my.
Jeanette, you are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Legal services for the elderly came to a center where I was about 15 years ago, and they helped all of us do our wills. And it was very vague as to how often you're supposed to redo your will or how often you're supposed to change it. Are they time sensitive?
That is another great question. And I also think that depends on the individual. I would say reach back out to legal counsel for the elderly about that. And for this session, I so appreciate the question. It's so important for everybody of all ages to consider their will. I do have a lot to get through on scams specifically. So I encourage you to call legal counsel for the elderly on that, or Christian Legal Aid. They also do estate planning. It's Christian Legal Aid.
Thank you.
All right, Patricia, please unmute. We cannot hear you, Patricia.
I think you must be talking about another Patricia.
Yeah, it's
Patricia Morgan.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Patricia Morgan, please unmute. Okay, if I were you, Courtney, I'd move on.
Okay, I hit unmute.
Hey, hi, Patricia.
Okay, I would like to know, how do you pronounce that word that start with the letter T is in Tom and Z is in zebra? How you pronounce that?
Great question. It's a great question. It's
how you pronounce
kind of like you don't really need to say the T. You can just say Tzedek. Tzedek.
Tzedek. Okay. And when it says Tzedek DC service, we offer. What do Tzedek mean? What is it?
So
can you give me a definition for Tzedek?
So Tzedek DC is the name of my organization, and so it's saying Tzedek DC. Here are the services that we offer.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to go on to the next slide here. I've got a couple of slides telling you about the services that we offer. So we also have a financial coach on our staff who can work with you if you have specific goals, like you want to buy a car or you want to buy a house, or you want to help pay for your grandchild's education, something like that. She can help you think through how to accomplish that goal. We also help you obtain and review your credit report, which is very good to do regularly to make sure the information on there is correct. I have here a picture of annualcreditreport.com, which is the resource that I always recommend for getting your credit report for free. Normally, in the past, it's been only annually that you could go get it for free one time per year. Because of COVID, they're actually letting you get it once per week for free on their website, which is great, until the end of 2023. All right, this is the last page about the services that we offer. So we can also help you come to an agreement with people to whom you owe money. So if you are in debt but you want to pay it off, we can help you reach some kind of agreement, like a payment plan. And last, we provide guidance and support after somebody steals your money or personal information through scams or fraud. Okay. And we also have a few special projects that I just want to mention. One, our projects work together collaboratively to make sure that we're serving all different kinds of clients in DC. So my project that I'm in charge of is the Financial Exploitation and Fraud Prevention Project, which serves victims of crime, especially financial crimes like fraud, identity theft, and financial abuse. Then we also have the Disabilities Community Project, which helps clients who have a disability and are facing debt or other consumer issues. And through this project, we're really good about making sure we're accommodating any needs, such as using an interpreter if somebody is deaf or hard of hearing, or if somebody has physical accessibility needs, like they use a wheelchair, we make sure that we're meeting in a place that's accessible. And our clients have all different kinds of disabilities. So also, mental health issues, chronic health issues. We're very sensitive to all different kinds of needs. And then lastly, our Sin Dudas project. That means no debts, no doubts. That project serves DC's Spanish-speaking population in Spanish. So we have a couple of Spanish-speaking attorneys that do that project. Okay, now we're going to get into scams. So I'm going to talk about some of the most common scams that target seniors. The first is government imposter scams. And my guess is that almost everybody on this call has heard about this scam. Does anybody want to share about an experience where they got a call or a letter from somebody pretending to be the government? Yes, Brenda?
Yes, I would like to. My name is Diane Jones.
We have
Diane?
Brenda's hand went up first, so we'll go with Brenda. Her hands went up first. You need to put your hands up, and then we can take it from there. Go ahead, Brenda.
Hi, Miss Courtney. I've experienced that quite a few times. I get a call from a person saying that I owe money on my income tax, and I know that I paid it, and they'll ask me, well, you need to pay it off. You need to go get a gift card from like 7-Eleven or one of those kind of stores. Call us back at this number and give us the number. So I said, okay, I'll do it. But I never do. I just play along with them. So, but I've experienced all of that, the Medicaid, the grandma scan, all of them. And
oh yeah, we'll get to that.
I pay it no mind because I know it's a scam.
Okay.
Yes.
Rosetta, before I call on you, I just want to highlight something that Brenda just said, that the scammers asked her to buy a gift card. If I'm going to say this again later, but take this home with you. If somebody asks you to pay them in a gift card, they are telling you that they are a scammer.
Yes.
They might as well be saying, hello, I am a scammer.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Rosetta. You're muted. Oh, your hand went down. Rosetta, I lost your window, so I can't tell. Oh, there you are. You're still muted. I've asked you to unmute. I clicked on the little button. Okay.
How about that?
Pardon?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
about 4 years ago, someone tried to, two men, they tried to scam me by trying to get my military and my social security number and all kinds of things, said I had money coming to me. And I almost fell for it. But you know, God, he came to me, he's like, stop talking. Stop telling anything to them. Because they would say I had money coming to me. And I, you know, they said, if it's too good to be true, then usually it is.
Yep.
And so I hung up the phone, in which they called my number back. They kept calling me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called Social Security while I was on the phone with one of them. And I just called Social Security and I told them what was happening. They had, you know, a good thing. They gave me their names. I felt so overwhelmed. I wrote the names down. I gave it to Social Security. And what I'm saying is I'm still having that problem sometimes. Not this, I don't know if it's the same people or what, but sometimes I get some scam calls and I don't answer them because the phone is saying it's a scam or whatever, all that. And so I don't answer them anymore. But I suggest to the seniors, if you see a scam, it says scam, don't answer the call. Don't be dumb like me. And, you know, just not knowing any better. And I just feel so taken advantage of at the time and just helpless. But I'm not helpless. I'm not stupid, nor am I dumb. And I think that, you know, that people who do those kind of things are the worst. They're the worst folks in the world. And
yeah, they are.
They should, you know, they take advantage of people because they're cowards and they're awful. And they just want to see somebody hurt or taken advantage. They really don't care about nobody. They don't care about themselves. And so with that said, you all be careful out there. God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rosetta. And Diane, I'm going to call on you in a moment, but I just want to really emphasize that it's important for us to be talking about scams because we have to get rid of the shame around scams. There's nothing to feel ashamed about if a professional scammer who this is their full-time job, if they got you to become a victim of their crime, you weren't duped, like you weren't you didn't fall for the scam. They manipulated you because they are professional, and we just need to get rid of the shame around it and the stigma and be talking about it and sharing our experiences. So thank you so much, Rosetta.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, Diane?
Yes. I want to know about the Medicaid scams because there's people that keeps calling not only my house, but they I have a couple of friends told me they called their house too and wants all this information. So I told her just to you know, ask them to send you some documentation instead of giving out any information, because it's every time you turn around it's someone with Medicaid or Medicare. And I said, they usually send out letters and stuff if they want you to reapply or get into the program. You know, calling on the phone, asking for your information. I haven't heard anyone do that before with Medicaid. So I want to know, how do you protect yourself from that?
Great question. And if you're getting calls from a government agency, you can always hang up and then find a legitimate phone number for that agency and call and ask them, are you all actually looking for this information? And they will let you know. But in general, the government is really, they're not going to be calling you asking for you to provide that information over the phone.
Thank That's what I
Yeah.
told a
Those
couple of
two, yeah.
friends too. The
Okay.
same thing, you
Mhm.
know, that they won't be calling you. Most of the time they'll send a letter to you. You know, they won't be calling you, asking you for all this information. And I told her not to give out any. Don't, you know, don't even, or even just hang up on them, you know, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Thank you, Diane. All right, Maria.
Hi, 10 years ago, I paid $167 in a gift card, because I didn't know. They said I won the lottery and they were real persistent and they made it look so real that I had to pay taxes on it before I got it. And I did know that we have to pay taxes on winnings, but I didn't know that that was a scam.
Yeah, thank you.
They took my money and I felt real stupid.
Yes, we're actually going to talk a little bit about sweepstakes scams. And again, they are professionals. I'm sure they made it sound totally legitimate.
Yes.
And knowledge is power. I'm so glad that you're here today to review the science of scams.
And yeah, and right now it's been like 2 months that I've been getting an email from the Geek Squad saying that they're taking out $349 out of my account, and they do it every month. And I'm wondering, are they taking it out and from where?
Probably a scam. Check your bank accounts. If that money is going away without you,
I wouldn't have that much to give, even if I did. If they were, I did owe them.
Geek Squad is a major fake scam, like they're imposter scam. I mean, Geek Squad is a legitimate company, but there are a lot of people pretending to be Geek Squad.
So ignore that or keep deleting it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you want to report it, I'll talk about reporting later on, but you can also always contact my organization and we can help you file reports.
Oh, great. Okay.
All right. Don, I'm going to get, right now I can see Donald, Janelle, Michael, iPad, Queen Harris. I'm going to run through these questions and then ask that we pause on questions so that I can get through my next few slides, and then we can do some more questions. So Donald.
Yes, mine isn't a question. I had a credit card situation happen where fortunately my bank sends text messages every time there's a charge on my credit card. And so I had seen these two charges for, one was just under $1 and one was just about $1. And I know that that's a sign. When you see those charges, it means they're trying to test your account. I don't know how they got my credit card number because I really don't order stuff online. But anyway, so I called my credit card company right away and they deactivated the card and then they sent me another card. But what I found out is whoever these bad actors were had also changed my address with the post office.
Wow.
So that now the credit cards in my name would have been going to this address in Pennsylvania. That they changed. I didn't know that the post office could do that you can just call up the post office and change your address. But anyway, the post office, fortunately, they do send a mailed confirmation. And I told them, no, there was no change of address, but they were trying to get credit cards in my name. And I just wanted to alert people to keep their eye out for those little charges on your credit card statement that shows you're being a victim of credit card fraud.
Thank you. I don't cover that in the slideshow, but that is a really great point. And you said you don't know how they got your credit card number. One possible way they may have gotten it is through a card skimmer, which is a little device that can be easily added on top of the slot that you put your credit card into at a gas station or an ATM. And the device, it takes your credit card information, And one good way to avoid credit card skimmers is if you've got a chip on your card and you see that little symbol that has the 3 lines that allows you to tap your card instead of putting it in, try to tap your card if you have that option, like the tap to pay instead of swiping your card. Because
Okay,
the
thank
skimmer
you.
won't get your information from just tapping. All right, Janelle?
Hi. One thing that I've noticed that when the scammers call, they usually call around the same time every day. We get a lot of scam calls every day, but if you don't answer the first scam call, then you'll seem to get less as the day goes by. Now, one of the things that when they do call, they always have an accent and they always portray an American name. What I started doing here recently is just asking them, can I get a callback number? Because I'm busy right now. I'll call you back. And if they say, no, we can't give you a callback number, this is the auto call and all that stuff, then you always know it's a scammer. And also, I always know it's a scammer if they don't, if you haven't contacted this company and you're not aware of a company like that and you haven't done any business with them, then you know that they're scammers.
Yeah.
And you can just say it outright, you're a scammer. Stop calling my number and hang up. Now that may or may not stop the calls, but if you call the number, if you hang up and then call the number back, sometimes you get a legitimate person on the line and they're unaware that their own phone number has been spoofed in a scam.
Yeah.
And you can give them the number, the information, and they can call and report it. So these are some of the things I've gone through. And I've been really rude with them too. So, really rude, like saying weird things like, arg, or something really off the chain.
I'm not going to tell you not to do that.
Yeah, but I've screamed into the phone when they call and just scream. Don't say nothing, just pick it up and just scream. And then they hang up and they'll say, oh my God, what is that? And then they hang up, so I mean, it's various ways you can get them to stop calling as much. You can't get them to stop calling altogether, but not as much. Just never answer the first scam call that comes to your home. Just don't answer it.
You'll see that if you go into like YouTube and you look up scam call center, you'll see that especially in India and Pakistan, there are a lot of these really professional call centers where they're just churning out scams. And the reason they don't want to give you that callback number is because it takes away the urgency and the pressure. So
and
that is a really
one
great
guy
idea.
actually did give me the callback number, and I called that man back all day, all night, until the woman on the other end begged, "Oh, my children are sleeping. I don't care. You keep calling here."
Keep his phone line busy.
I kept the phone line busy, but I mean, there's things you can see on the internet. Not Buimunga, Booey Booger or something like that. He's a scam baiter. I'm not a scam baiter, but it gets you so angry that you want to go for it. And then at one time I was taking all the phone numbers down that were calling and sending it to various government agencies so that they can track, but nothing ever came of that I know of, but maybe once in a while they might get a hit.
Okay. Thank you. Joy.
Okay, can you hear me, Courtney?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I get text messages. Of course, if they have your phone number, they can call you, but they can also text you. And so if you get, and I think I've learned enough by now that if I don't, I don't respond. I just immediately delete. but I wish there was some way we could delete and they would never, they wouldn't be able to text you again, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing, I just wanted to mention that I am seeing more advertisements, I guess you could say, for apps that you can get an app that really the whole point is when the scammers call, it's like, and you using that app, it's like they're doing the talking for, and they will frustrate these people. They'll, whatever it is they do. I don't feel like I don't want to buy into that. Because
Interesting.
first, I don't know how, if they really work or not. But that's another thing that I'm seeing more often is these apps that do your talking for you and engage these people who are calling you, and it ends up being such a foolish conversation that either they get angry, they get frustrated, and they will hang up. And hopefully the idea is that they won't call you back again, but because I'm not going to get an app, I don't know if they really work. It really works like that or not.
Thank you for sharing about that. Yeah, I'm not aware of those apps, but that's an interesting innovation.
Yeah, I've just been seeing those, if I go in and get on my phone to Google some, because I read, I study, and of course, when I want to hit the search, there's always a list of stuff underneath, that have, what you can tap into, if you will, and all that type of thing. Also, it's like when I get into, they have a lot of ads when you actually get into the site that you're looking for. All these ads pop up, and on YouTube especially, and then that's where you will see these things. An ad will pop up. Oh, we have this app. If you're tired of people calling you, scammers calling you, so that's another way you'll see them too, is in these advertisements when you get into the stuff that you're actually looking for. So I just wanted to make that comment, sweetie. Thank you. The information is so helpful.
All right. Our last question for now is going to be from Queen. Thank you. I see lots of other hands raised. I ask that you hang on to your question so I can get through a few more slides. So Queen, you want to unmute? Yeah.
Good evening. I just wanted to say that they have legit numbers too, because someone called me on my landline phone with a legit number.
Queen, it's a little hard to hear you. It sounds like maybe your microphone is being a little muffled.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, that's clear, I think. Would you mind starting over? Would you mind? Oh, you just muted yourself. But if you could unmute and then start your question over.
Yes, I was saying that there is a legit number. They have a legit number from Social Security, because someone called me on my landline phone, and I used my cell phone to call Social Security, and they had the exact number.
So you can see that right here on this slide in the government imposter scams, the last bullet on the left side of where it's a description of scam, they can use special technology that allows them to spoof the phone number of the government agency or use the same zip code as where you live, such as 202. And they do this to trick people into thinking that the caller is from a valid source. So just because the phone number matches the actual phone number of the agency does not mean that it's not a scammer calling you, unfortunately. But like I said, and I keep saying it, these are professionals, they're experts, they're constantly figuring out ways to stay ahead of, the knowledge that we're all trying to learn about scams.
Yes.
Yeah. So, pardon?
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna pause on questions for now. So hang on to your question if you have one. Just a couple of other things I wanted to point out about imposter scams. They're usually from the IRS, the Social Security Administration, or Medicare. They may say that you have unpaid taxes, as we heard earlier. And they could threaten to arrest you or deport you if you don't pay immediately. Or they may say that your benefits will be cut off if you don't provide personal identifying information or a payment. So some things to really look out for when you're getting calls from the government, which in general, you're probably not going to get a call from the government. But be aware that the government is absolutely never going to threaten to arrest you or take legal action because you're not paying on the spot. And the government will never ask you to pay in gift cards or with a prepaid debit card or through a wire transfer or cryptocurrency or by mailing cash. These are all weird ways to make payments, and they're hard to trace. And like we said before, if somebody is asking you to pay with gift cards or one of these other ways, that is in your head. I want you to translate that to I am a scammer. Okay. The government's never going to pressure you to take immediate action on that phone call. They're never going to say, hey, you have to do this right now, such as sharing your personal information. And they're never going to offer to move your money into a protected bank account. I'm not sure if anybody on this call has had that kind of scammer reach out to them, but where they say there's an issue with your account or with your benefits, and we need to move money into a secure account. And what they're doing is they're just moving your money into their account. And the government is also never ever going to ask you to keep the call secret and not tell anyone about it. All right, next, we're going to talk a little bit about sweepstakes and lottery scams, which were mentioned earlier as well. In those kinds of scams, which I'm also guessing many of you have gotten, the scammer will call and say that you won a lottery or a prize. But in order to get it, you've got to pay them first to cover taxes or processing fees. If you hear that, I also want you to translate that to this is a scam. So scammers will often impersonate really familiar organizations like Publishers Clearinghouse, maybe DC Lottery. You're never going to get the prize in a sweepstakes or lottery scam. And they can also kind of string you along by getting you to pay a little bit, and then you're waiting and waiting and waiting for the prize. It doesn't come, and then they will say, oh no, you have to pay more. There was like an additional fee that we didn't know about or that we couldn't have collected earlier. If that happens, you're 200% sure it's a scam. So red flags to spot. If you never entered into a lottery and you get a lottery call, pretty likely that it's not legitimate. You should never ever think that a call about a lottery from another country is legitimate. And if they tell you you need to pay a fee before you get your money, that's a red flag. And then last, if they mention anything about it being like a federal sweepstakes or federal lottery, that is definitely a scam. The federal government doesn't oversee any sweepstakes. The federal government is never going to contact you to ask for money in order to claim a prize. All right. Robocalls and phone scams. And just so you all know, we're going to get through robocalls and phone scams and tech support scams and grandparent scams. I'm going to try to go through these pretty quickly so you have time for questions. So robocall and phone scams. Robocalls, that refers to a lot of different kinds of scams that happen when they use like a computer to make a lot of rapid phone calls just to reach as many possible victims as they can. Common robocall scam is when you answer, you hear a recording goes, "Can you hear me?" Or hello. And then that when you say yes, they'll capture your voice, and then they can use that voice recording to authorize unwanted charges on items like stolen credit cards. This one really makes me anxious to talk about, because it feels very easy to fall into. And I don't mean to say fall into, it mean it's very easy to be victimized by this kind of scam. Best way to prevent this is to not answer unfamiliar numbers, especially if your phone says it's a potential scam. Never answer a potential scam. But even unfamiliar numbers, I wouldn't recommend answering those. Let them leave a voicemail. Another popular phone scam is an impending lawsuit scam, where it's a scary call where they tell you that a lawsuit might be filed against you and that you have to pay a fine by a certain deadline or you'll be sued or arrested. That's a common scam. And you may get a call about a warranty expiring on your car or electronic device, and you need to make a payment to renew it. One that I've been getting recently is about a $26,000 refund that I'm entitled to.
That one before.
Yeah, I've gotten probably 5 voicemails with the exact same recording about a $26,000 refund. And then again, they'll often spoof a phone number. So the phone number will look legitimate, like a 202 number, or maybe even a government agency number. And if you're not expecting a call, let it go to voicemail. Let them leave a voicemail and call them back.
Can you hear me? My name is James Stewart, and I'm kind of new on this.
Yeah, James, I have a line of people who with their hands up, but if you put your hand up, I will make sure to get to you when I open the floor back up. Don't see your hand, but hopefully you will push that hand button because I do want to hear from you. All right. Okay. So next, I'm going to jot your name down because I'm still not seeing your hand, but I want to give you a chance to speak. So red flags or robocalls, like I just said, if it's an unknown number, that's a red flag. If they want you to do something right away, that means they don't want you to think about it. They want to just pressure you. Always take time to think through what you're being asked to do. If they are intimidating you or threatening you, that's a red flag. A strange payment method. A lot of these you'll notice we've been through before. It's pretty common to all these different types of scams. But I'm reviewing them because it's important for you to have these drilled into your mind. And then lastly, any legitimate robocall will tell you why they're calling, and they will also tell you what action they're expecting you to take, and they'll give you a way for you to contact them to discuss the situation that they're calling you about. If there's no way for you to ask questions or to get clarification from them, that means that it's probably not a legitimate caller, and they're just trying to move quickly and get you confused. And I mean, they don't even have answers to your questions because it's all made up. All right. Tech support scams. We've talked about Geek Squad, Norton Antivirus. These are companies that are commonly impersonated. Tech scams will prey on people's lack of knowledge about computers and cybersecurity. And it often appears as a pop-up message or a blank screen that appears and will say that your device is damaged or has an issue and that it needs to be fixed. when a victim calls a support number for help, the scammer might request remote access to the computer or demand a fee to have it repaired. Or the victim may get an email saying that there's an issue with their device, or that they are getting a monthly charge, like we heard about, and they're just trying to bait you into calling them so that they can extract information and money from you. So some red flags. If you see that kind of message prompting you to call, that is a huge red flag, because tech support companies, they really don't proactively reach out. They're not going to tell you, hey, we noticed there's something wrong with your computer, you should call us. They exist to provide you with support, and they expect you to call them to ask for help if you notice something. But they're not going to be reaching out to you specifically as an individual to say, we think there's a problem with your computer, call us and we'll help you. They just won't do that. If they request remote access to your computer, which would allow them to basically take over your computer from wherever they are, that is a huge red flag. And you're giving them access to a lot of sensitive stuff. Anything that's on your computer, they can access. If you logged into your online banking account, maybe your password is saved in your computer, they can go in and transfer your money out. That it's really dangerous when somebody has remote access to your computer. So if they're asking for that, definitely stop the conversation and try to figure out, is there any chance that this is legitimate? Because it's almost certainly a scam. Again, if they're asking you to make a payment in a weird way, they're saying, I'm a scammer. And then if they ask you to share your bank account information, a tech support company is really not going to be doing that. So that's another red flag. Okay, and last, grandparent scams. They prey on your emotions. They're really cruel and really scary. So the scammer will call, and usually you're not going to have somebody saying, hey, grandma, it's me, Jordan. They're going to say, hey, grandma, do you know who this is? Because they want you to provide the name. And then once you do, they'll go along with it and come up with some fake emergency that requires money. And in a lot of cases, they will pass the call to another person who's pretending to be a police officer, or in really scary cases, kidnapper, who says, I've got your grandchild and I'm going to hurt them if you don't give me money. And they'll ask you to make an immediate payment. And sometimes they'll even show up at your house to collect the payment, or send like an Uber driver or a Lyft driver to pick it up. And it's really pretty much impossible to get your money back in this and all these other kinds of scams because of how they want you to pay. So some really important red flags here. If the caller doesn't identify themselves right away, but they get you to identify them, that's a red flag. If they want you, if they're creating a really urgent situation, when they just are not giving you an opportunity to stop and think, that's a red flag. If the call comes late at night, that is very intentional. They are trying to wake you up, and they know you're going to be confused. If you were sleeping a moment ago and now you're being asked to send money, the time's right for them. So if it's a late night call, it's probably a scammer. And if they refuse to, or they can't answer questions like, what's the nickname that we use for your dad? Like, I recommend that you kind of think about questions that you could ask a family member in this kind of situation that only they would know the answer to. to test if it's actually them. So asking about nicknames is a pretty good one because it's not a standard password question. If it's about somebody else, a lot of password recovery will be like, what was your nickname? But not like, what was your dad's or what was your dog's? Or yeah, you can come up with your own sort of screening question. All right. Basic signs of a scam. The 3 things. Emotion. They want you to feel scared. They want you to feel excited. They want you to feel confused. If there's a lot of emotion involved, that's one of the basic signs. Another, urgency. This one's huge. If they're trying to get you to do it now, that's because they don't want you to think. They don't want you to get a second opinion. They don't want you to even remember that you have a gut that you should be listening to. They just want to get it done while they have you on the hook. And isolation. They don't, similar to the urgency, they really don't want you to talk to anybody else about it as it's happening or even afterwards, because they don't want you to come after them right away. The longer the time passes, the harder it is for you to recover your money. So they're going to be pressuring you to keep it a secret. All right. Last slide, and then I'll spend the last 2 minutes getting questions. I'm so sorry we ran out of time. But avoid or stop the scam. If you think that you're getting a call from an unknown number, don't answer. Voicemail. If you're on the phone with a scammer, it's okay to hang up. They're probably going to call you back, maybe even repeatedly. It sounds like some of you have experienced that. Just let it go. Silence your phone. Don't let them harass you. And if you're not sure if it's legitimate or not, find a legitimate number for whatever organization, agency is calling you and call them to see if they meant to contact you. Don't click on any strange links or reply to any texts or emails that seem fishy. Get a second opinion before you do that. Ask your neighbor, your daughter, your grandson. Yeah. You can even, call me. Or I'm going to tell you about an AARP resource where they can help you figure out if something's a scam. Just get a second opinion, and then also trust your instincts. All right, and stay informed. I'll leave this up while I field a couple more questions. These are some things that you can do to stay informed about scams and make sure you're protecting yourself. All right, so Denise. And let's try to keep these questions quick, please.
Yeah, before we go into it, I'd like to tell seniors to keep their questions brief. 1, cut it. Give others the opportunity. Okay?
Thank you.
Because your time is limited at this point. You're now almost, time is up. So we'll have to keep it brief.
We can probably just do maybe 2 questions. I'm so sorry. All right, so Denise.
Okay. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I was calling out. The gentleman that was saying something about they taking money out of his card, like $1 or something. Well, they done that to me too before, but my bank had caught it because they see it was an activity done that they know I normally don't do. So they caught that in time. And the second thing I was going to say, when scammers call my Comcast internet, it pops up there and on my landline phone. And so, but sometimes they'll get the other numbers like 202, 301. They thinking that I'll answer, which I answer. Then they ask for me, and I just tell them you had the wrong number, and I hang up. Or, I just say the police is recording this, so they hang up. So now this last thing I just want to say real quick is that
Can you cut it, please, Denise? Please cut it. We can't go on to a third part. I'd like to go with James Stewart at this point. He's been waiting. He did try. James, are you there? James, are you there?
Hello?
Go ahead, James.
Hi, James.
Oh, hey, how's everybody? I just wanted to say a few years back, real quick, somebody got in contact with me and told me I could get $3,000. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So what I had to do was get him my bank information, and then go pick up $2,000 out of my account that was sent to my account, and then go to Walmart, get a gift card, and then mail them the money, and then they was gonna put $3,000 in my bank account. So on the way there, I'm like, man, I got $2,000. I said, shoot. As I was getting there, my hands, my palms were getting sweaty. I said, I got $2,000. At that time, I was pretty broke. And I got to buy the card, and I got there late. And I asked the lady what she doing for me. She said, well, the machine went down. So that's why I didn't send the money.
That's one of those, if it sounds too good to be
the,
true.
Right. I was blinded by the $3,000 I was going to get.
Wow.
And then imagine I kept the money. And
Yeah.
later on, I got a note from my bank saying my account was overdrawn by $2,000.
Mm.
So somehow or another, they pulled it from my account, which I didn't have no money in the bank at that time. It was a live account. And I really don't know how they did that.
Okay, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, James.
Watch out for that.
So now it's now 2:30, and I know your time is up. We want to say thank you so much, Courtney, for taking this valuable time of yours to share such critical information with our group. So I'd like everyone to say thank you, and maybe Courtney will come back again.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, Miss Courtney.
I didn't get much else, but I got enough.
Enjoy
all
the
so much.
information.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Very good
Bye.
information. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, dear.
All righty. So you heard the stories over and over again about scamming, and yet it still continues. The more and more I read on the internet, it's the more and more I see it's happening to what group? Seniors.
Seniors. Seniors.
The elderly.
Yeah, the elderly group. I just read two articles this morning. It was two elderly individuals it happened to. So just be extremely cautious. Nobody's going to call you, like she said, for the help desk. If you're not sure about anything, don't respond.
Teresa, may I add this very quickly, briefly? Guys, when you get a call, you can take you can be, if you can get yourself to discipline yourself, be polite. I wouldn't encourage nobody to be rude, but just if you can get them to stay on the phone and then tell them, do not call you again. And then when they call you again, you have them on your phone. You take your phone to the police station and you will get paid. That was on the news some time back. So I've been getting paid for my scam calls. And, so that's out there for you guys too. I wouldn't encourage nobody to intimidate them. You don't know what these clowns have access to. So I wouldn't encourage anybody to, just intimidate them and get angry. If you keep your cool and say to them once, do not call my phone anymore. And then if they call you again, just keep them on the phone. And then that information is on your phone. You just take it to your local precinct. I'm in the 5th district. So I take it to there, and then they do what they do to my phone. And I get my check for the scammers because they pass something that
You got them paid?
they're fed up with them taking advantage of us, constantly calling us. Yeah, so you can get paid for them calling your phones if you keep your cool and don't get indignant with them. Just stay on it long
how
enough.
much do they pay you?
Yeah,
it's
how
different.
much?
It's different. Depends on how many of them you get on your phone. It's different figures. But just give it a try instead of letting it frustrate you or whatever. And the main thing is, do not say yes. That's why I don't even answer them. Let it go to your voicemail, because when you say yes, you're saying yes to God knows what. And all they need, like she said on that thing, if you say yes, they can apply your voice to whatever their intentions are, and which is not good. Thank you, Teresa.
All right, I'd like to go to Grace. Grace, did you have something you needed to say? And then on to Jennifer.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Grace.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say I am a true testament for the DAC because I used them for a service and was able to utilize all the services that they offered, and it really helped me. So they helped me clear up some credit issues, scam issues, and other issues that I had with someone trying to take advantage of a senior.
Mm-hmm.
So please, everyone, if you can, and they not only work with seniors, they work with everyone. All these
That's
people.
right. Mm-hmm.
And they're very good. I really appreciate them, and it's a free service to all DC residents.
That's right.
And thank you all, and you all have a nice one.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you.
I'll go with Jennifer Blackman. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, Teresa, lately there is something called AI, intelligence. They are mimicking your children's voices and saying that they are in an accident, and it's a big scam, and to come and to give them money and all that. This happened to two friends of mine recently. Another thing I wanted to alert seniors about the elderly, is something called clickbait. They bombard you with these ads. They look very nice, and you say, I need to check this out. And by the time you check it out, you get about 6 or 7 things. You say, but how this person sending me all this stuff that I just found out about? It's called clickbait. Don't click on it. If it's sometimes you can't help it, but I'm just telling you because this happened to me. This clickbait, I've been getting so many ads about this. I'm like, why are these people sending all of this information to me? But it's because I went on a search to find out some. So check that. And that AI is very, very troubling because you don't know what is true. Oh, and even if you go on the site and the chat, it will give you steps on how to achieve, in the education system. Now the AI is writing the papers for the students. It's terrible. It's something to think about.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And then the last question or concern is coming from Rosetta Archie. Go ahead, Rosetta.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I was asking Miss Courtney for the phone. I need the phone number to do that.
Well, it's in the chat, but I can read it off to you if you have a pencil.
Yes, ma'am.
It's in the chat right now. Do you know how to check the chat?
Yes, please.
It's in the chat. So hold on.
It's not in the chat right now, Teresa. It's gone from the chat.
It's not in the chat anymore?
No, I just checked.
I
can put it. I have the number.
Pardon me?
Yes, it is.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't see it.
It's 202 274 7386.
73
86.
It's still in the chat.
274.
I missed it.
Yes.
Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Jennifer. How you doing, hon?
Good.
Good.
Okay, so did you get it? Did you get the number?
So let me read it back to you. 202-724-7386.
No.
274. 274.
274.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And
I
that brings
really enjoyed this today. This helps me quite a bit because I've experienced scams from people. I'll say that lightly, but they were monsters and they were really trying to take advantage of me. I got scared, but I reported because it was with Social Security. They were trying to get my check. And you folks, please don't let them do it to you. I reported them to Social Security. And do you know they had a nerve because Social Security got in touch with them. They had a nerve to call me back. And I said, I'm going to report you again. And I did. And then I didn't hear any more from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I'm glad for you.
You for that. and I'm
They're bold, Ronnie. They're bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's their full-time job. That's
Exactly.
what they do.
That is
That's
true.
how they're trying to scare you. Surviving.
That's how they make their money, taking other people's money.
In other words, I'm messing with their livelihood. I don't care about their livelihood.
Because they don't care about us.
They care about yours. They trying to get whatever you got.
That's true.
Right.
Teresa, can you put that number on the chat, please?
It's in there.
It's already there. It's in. Scroll down.
So, but I'll read it off
It's-
again. Just
it's
get
on
your
the-
pens. It's still there. Get your
Okay.
paper
All I
ready.
got-
Are you
All
ready?
I got was 274.
Right, and then the last four digits is 7386.
Thank you. Does it their title?
Well,
Courtney
her
Wilkes.
name is Courtney. That's all I can say.
Courtney Wilkes.
But the name of the company is
TZ.
TZE.
DEA.
TZ.
ZE. TZ.
Hey,
Z-Tech.
DC.
Z-Tech, yeah, concentrate, whatever, yes.
Lord have mercy.
And
Oh,
they're
I
located at
thought
Howard University.
I
Not
thought
Howard University. I'm sorry.
UDC. You're at UDC.
UDC.
Oh, the
Yes.
UDC? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All
All right. And I'll
Thank
take
you,
Michael.
Miss Teresa. Thank you, dear.
You're welcome. You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Bye.
Our last question.
Everybody
is
have a good evening.
Yeah,
You too, dear.
Michael.
Yeah,
All right,
God bless.
take care.
Yeah, Miss James, I wanted to thank you very much for hosting this. And also, I just wanted to get that telephone number early on. That's why my hand was up. And I have other questions, but she covered most of them, and I can just wait until the next time she comes, hopefully.
I'll try to get her back on again.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, have a
Okay.
blessed. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys, it's been a wonderful afternoon. Hope you got something from it. I know I did. There's always something
Yeah.
new to learn.
Yep.
And just want to say thank you for participating. We had a pretty high participation number. Now, tomorrow is Wednesday. We have module 5, library apps. And then, of course, other, yeah. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Okay. Very good.
Bye-bye.
All right, take
Okay,
care,
take care.
everybody. Have a
Bye.
blessed day, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Miss Teresa. Love you all.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right.